Hello, and welcome to 2020, everybody. This is the Tuesday show. I'm Ultra David.
And I'm James Chen. How's everybody going?
Look at that and give yourself a round of applause, because that's pretty sick. I like that. I think that's rad.
Yeah.
So we are trying to step things up a little bit, and thanks for joining us for this new year, which is, in fact, the 9th season of UltraChenTV.
Dude, I didn't even think about that. Like, you said that. I heard you say that when you were on the phone, and I was like, oh God, it is the 9th year.
I mean, we had no real expectation that it would last like 9 months.
Yeah.
9 episodes.
You remember? Like, it started
up in the air.
It started because somebody was like, oh, hey, you know what? We want to do, I think it was like UltraChenTV, which never turned into anything.
I totally
and they're like, we're going to have a bunch of shows, and we would like you guys to do stuff. We're like, okay, we wanted to do a show anyway. And we did a show, and it somehow has lived past everything.
And before this, I went back and watched our very first episode ever.
Did you really?
I did.
How? Is it on?
It's on our YouTube. Just go to YouTube and sort by date reverse.
Oh my God!
And then you can see exactly what it is, and it's the worst thing that I've seen in a long time.
You know what the craziest thing is? Like
people watched it. Awful.
I was even watching in like our best of 2017 stuff back in 2018 and stuff, and I just feel like the vibe is so different. We were just like so like.
I know that's exactly the vibe that I got when I was watching it. There was so much downtime. Anyway, it's been a while. Obviously, we figured out what to do a little bit better. We bring our personalities across a little bit more strongly. Whatever. This is the 9th season of UltraChenTV, and we're going to start it like we have been starting each year by reviewing the previous year. So now that it's 2020, we want to talk about 2019. We have our whole set of awards. I posted a picture of all of the award categories on Twitter, so check it out at the UltraChenTV Twitter. It's all there if you'd like to see and if you'd like to make your picks.
Although the interesting part about this one is that we're adding 3 extra categories this year because it is 2020. We also have Players of the Decade.
Wow.
Fighting Games of the Decade.
Wow.
And Stories of the Decade.
Wow.
Which is, we're going to add a little bit those things going on. So
that's incredible. It's been another decade.
Yeah, but we are going to start with the 2019 stuff. Now, every year we've always started in like the exact backwards order we probably should have, and always did Player of the Year first, and then et cetera, et cetera. We kind of just blew the load right away.
Wow.
You know? So,
okay.
I think we're going to try to do something a little bit different this year. I'm not even sure exactly what the order is. My list is still in the wrong order, but we'll figure it out.
Okay, well, I got the list, so don't you worry.
Okay. Hang on a second. Let me do something really
Well, our list is going to be Newcomer of the Year, then Event of the Year, then Match of the Year, Story, FGC Member, Content Creator / Streamer, Commentator, Worst Thing of the Year, Player of the Year, Fighting Game of the Year, then a little random select award where we basically talk about whatever.
Right.
And then our personal FGC resolutions for this year. And then we're going to have Player of the Decade, Fighting Game of the Decade, Storyline of the Decade. The decade, which is gone.
The decade, yeah, exactly. So
it's past.
All right. So you said we're starting with Newcomer, right? Do you want to just get started with it right away?
Let's do it, man. Let's hop. This is going to take forever anyway, so let's hop in there.
I'm trying to do a different kind of format here.
Okay, look at this.
Yeah, and it's going to require me a lot of cutting and pasting while we're doing the show.
Hey,
but,
man,
you know,
get
let's
the
see if I
Control-Cs
can make
ready.
it work. Yeah, exactly.
All right, so it looks to me like you've had me right at the list there to start things off.
Yeah,
Is that what you're expecting?
I mean, we could do it that. I mean, we'll do.
You can start if you want.
We'll go back and forth, and then we'll switch it up the next category like we've done every year. So let's just get you started first, since I have you pasted here and ready to go.
Okie doke. So Newcomer of the Year refers to anything that's new. It could be a game, it could be a person, it could be whatever. Something that's new. And I'm going to be starting off with my third place, which is Mortal Kombat 11.
Wow, okay, I thought that would have been a little bit higher up here.
Well, it's not.
Okay.
MK11 is, my favorite new game of the year, and I've had a blast playing it. This is not the only category I'll be talking about it in, so I'll save some words about it. But here you go, third place. Great job.
Okay. You know what's really funny? When I was doing this category here, I completely forgot to even think about games.
Oh boy!
So you put MK11 in there, and I was like, oh, that's right, we can put games in there.
Dang.
Well,
you wanna think about it for 2 minutes?
No, it's okay. I'm just gonna go with it. I mean, it's weird. This year has been kind of a strange kind of situation. I mean, just a lot of weird things going on this year.
Okay.
My newcomer of the year, I wanted to celebrate the next generation of fighting game players, right? Sure. And I'm not even just talking about. Whoops, hang on a second. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go.
Next generation.
And I'm not even talking about the next generation. I'm saying I'm celebrating. We're getting a lot of FGC babies in the house now, right?
Okay.
And so I actually want to just take the opportunity to shout out like Harper, who was born. Oh, she's almost a year old now. Justin's
Incredible.
kid, right?
Justin Wong's child.
Yeah, Justin Wong. Rick and Kat just had a kid, Tira.
Yep.
Javits just had a kid. Ari, I think it's her name, and so a whole bunch of people in the FGC.
Bonchan had twins.
Yeah, Bonchan. I don't know what their names.
And Anna. Yeah,
I don't know their names, but Sako had. I mean, that was a kid a while ago, right? But
that kid's existed.
It's crazy to me because we're getting to this age now where fighting game players are having kids, and I just keep thinking to myself, this is like the next generation.
That's a good way to put it.
So we're getting all of our Evo champions of 2030 ready to go, 2035 ready to go,
Wow, they're going to be doing it young, all right.
I mean, that's about the age, right? 2035, they'd be 15 years old.
It's doable, yeah.
Oh, man.
People have won Evo at 15, why not? All right, so next generation for James. Then, mine is going to be...
Number two
is Ninja Killa. Ninja Killa is a Mortal Kombat player who had only played online. And he was like an online god, and people were like, this player might be good offline. But other people said he can't hack it in another game. It's MKX only. And then in his very first offline competition, he won it. And then he went to 5 premieres this year. That's all. And he got 4th place, 1st place, 3rd place, and 1st place. On the strength of only 5 tournaments, he's 3rd in the world in the MK points. The sort of phenomenal rise of that, it's not even a rise. He started in orbit, right? Like, he didn't launch.
Right.
He's just up there in orbit. All of a sudden, already he's there.
He's an alien. He came from space,
right.
Yeah,
it's so rare that kind of thing happens. I can think of only a handful, like in any game ever, that kind of start has happened. So,
I mean, the only comparison I can think is like maybe even like Lost Soul, right?
It's totally a Lost Soul situation, for sure.
For sure. So there you go. Okay. Well, my number 2, I wanted to give. We have FGC Member of the Year, and I wanted to really give one to Persia there, but I gave it to some other people. But I did give XO Academy one of the newcomers of the year because I think it's a really awesome program. For me, it's very, very important to try to get more women into the FGC and everything like that. The program that she's doing that to where she's pairing up, top players with the members of XO Academy and giving advice for commentary for all sorts of things like that and just creating content. I know like Carolyn's been involved, Amanda's been involved, I've been involved helping with all that stuff like that. So really shout outs to XO Academy and the cool stuff that they've done for a lot of their like I know like P-Chan has been doing well in Street Fighter V at tournaments, and a bunch of the other players as well that they've picked up. Phantom Miria has been doing a lot of commentary as well.
Romanova's been doing a lot of commentary.
Romanova's doing a lot of commentary.
She had
exactly.
been.
Yeah. So very, very cool. I'm really happy for them. Really happy for them. So
that's awesome. So XO Academy.
Yeah. Find a new rival. Now the question is, who is your number 1? Who's your? I'm gonna start typing it in.
You should just start typing it. Yeah. A name that you'll be hearing a lot throughout the course of this evening, which is Arslan Ash, of course.
I'm gonna fill out mine right now too. Okay.
Yeah. So obviously Arslan Ash is number 1. I mean, it's speaking of sort of the rarity of a situation like Ninja Killa's, even rarer, maybe never, is that a player comes out in the sense that it's not just the player. Because sometimes you get like rogue geniuses and they're just floating around and then all of a sudden it's a genius. Okay. But it's like a whole community of, it turns out, the best players in the world were just secluded in Pakistan, and there were like whispers now and then of people trying to tell me, "Hey, Pakistan's really good," and I ignored it.
You're one of my favorite stories to tell about that. You know,
for sure. But I've heard other people say the same things, that they had whispers. Oh, the Pakistanis are really good, like whispers now and then. And this is the year that it happened. So calling Arslan a newcomer is like not exactly right, because obviously he's been playing for a little while, but on the world stage, he took everybody by storm.
Right. And interestingly enough, I didn't actually write Arslan Ash for my newcomer. I actually just put down Pakistan.
For sure.
I just put down Pakistan because because we'll have plenty of time later on. Spoilers to talk about Arslan Ash some more, you know. But I wanted to put down all of Pakistan in there because I feel like it wasn't just Arslan Ash. Obviously, he got good because the whole scene is so good, and they became such an effect to the point where Nee and Shikrin and everybody else went to Pakistan to train, you know, and everybody's like, oh, they didn't do so well at TWT. I mean, they won the LCQ, right? They won the LCQ. Sure, they didn't make top 8, but that's a bloodbath of a tournament, right? Like, you run it again, and you may have a situation where all 3 of them were in top 8, you know? That's how tournaments go. Tournaments just happen that way, and so these guys are going to be a force. They are not a fluke. They're going to be here for a very long time, and it's going to be awesome for the years to come, where Pakistan is just always going to be a part of the conversation. You know what I mean? I often talk about Nasser bringing out Big Bird and Angry Bird to tournaments, and we don't even talk about it being weird that UAE is in the situation, you know, and that's how Pakistan is going to be. Like, sure. I even think starting next year, no one's going to be like, oh, Pakistan. They're just a part of the storyline at that point in time. So there you go.
That's right.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Interesting. So Tap2GG even says that Arslan was saying that Pakistan players pre-TWT files were overconfident, so they didn't practice them. I mean,
that's
dude,
so funny.
It happens, dude.
It does happen.
It happens.
It does happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You get your sudden success, and then you think that you're the best in the world, and you don't have to practice anymore.
Yep. That's what always happens. Oh, man. Okay, so there you go. What's the next?
That's hilarious. Next one is Event of the Year.
Event of the year.
So tournament, whatever. You know,
right. And we usually say non-Evo event of the year.
Non-Evo. Yeah, we're going to seclude Evo from this because it's such its own beast.
Right. So I'll start with this one.
Yeah.
I'll have to scroll through and find it because we're all in different orders. Again, a lot of times my number 3 spot is always reserved for more of just kind of like my personal kind of biased pick, kind of thing like that. So for number 3 here this year, I picked Frosty Faustins.
Okay.
Just because, you know, it's an event that kind of goes under the radar, right? But it's like the 4th biggest event in the U.S. right now. I mean,
it's huge.
Yeah, and they play like every single game, and you go there and it has like this really nice classic feel. You know, it's coming up next weekend, not this week. Actually, it is this weekend. It is this weekend. It's coming up this weekend. But it's just a really fun tournament. They even threw a Chen challenge last year that I got to play a bunch of people in ST and everything like that. And also another thing too is shout outs to 2-day tournaments, because honestly we need more of that. We need more of that. So yeah.
But it's Friday,
no, it is not
Saturday,
this weekend.
Right?
It's the next weekend. It's next weekend.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. It's Friday, Saturday. Yes, it's just Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They just have like an after party kind of thing where everybody just goes to a venue and keeps playing games over there and everything like that. So yeah, shout outs to Frosty Faustins. So
that sounds great.
Yeah.
So my 3rd place is, and keep in mind that I'm limiting these to ones that I went to last year.
Okay.
So I'm looking always for tournaments that have their own feel, because I feel like a lot of tournaments have kind of run together in my brain, you know, where sometimes I'll wake up.
One of the hardest things about us traveling.
That happens.
Dude, I still remember, sorry to cut you off and totally random story, but when we were in DreamHack Montreal, every time we kept waking up, I kept thinking we were in Europe. Well, because it was so French over there, you know. I just kept thinking we were like completely in another continent overseas.
That's understandable.
Like that. Yeah. But yeah, go ahead.
So I'm trying to find these unique places, and my 3rd is Viennality.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Viennality, I had a blast at. It's in Vienna, Austria, hence Viennality, and it's historically more of an NRS Mortal Kombat tournament, so Fatality, Viennality. Right?
Yeah. Of course.
It's so unique, man. It's held in central Vienna, one of the world's like great capitals, and it's held in a building that was built in the 1800s, and it's players from all over Europe who, this is the only time of year I ever get to see them. It's mostly top NRS players, again, many of which I don't get to see otherwise. Players from the Middle East were there, all sorts of places, all Eastern Europe, Northern Europe. It was super, super cool. And they're all super loud and excited, and there's like old Mortal Kombat cabinets in there you can play on. It's just like a very unique vibe.
It was an old church.
It's not a church. It was like the architect's building of Vienna or something. It's like an old building. I don't remember, but it was built in the 1800s for sure, and very close to like all of the famous museums in Vienna. The location is actually incredible. Incredible.
You get to be in
the
Vienna,
best location. The best location for sure.
Do they have like Street Fighter tournaments?
Oh yeah. Like everything else is there. Definitely. Everything else is there.
So
Yeah.
I need to see if I can hornswoggle my way
Seriously,
there. So
it's so cool. I had a blast there.
Okay. For my number 2 event, I listed, and I'm not limiting it to places that I went to. Okay,
Gotcha.
so I'm doing just based off of overall everything.
Do your thing.
I had to put Red Bull Kumite in there
for
because
sure.
I just think Red Bull Kumite was just so well done, and in fact, I wanted to kind of put it as number 1 this year, except for the fact that it still is an invitational, and to me, I still want to cherish open tournaments a little bit more.
Sure.
But as far as invitationals, as far as production goes, and there's been a lot of conversations about esports versus FGC and blah blah blah, and they're trying to do this and that. Well, Red Bull seems to understand the perfect balance between trying to make it like big production but still very FGC.
Yeah, it does.
Like the samurai helmet and the little tokens that they had for everybody was cool. Red Bull. Yeah, it was just really well done. The production was really cool. We even got a lot of good personality moments, like Infectious not high-fiving a single soul and things like that. It was really, really, really well done. So I was really happy about Red Bull Kumite.
I hear that.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun to watch.
Okay, so what do you got?
My number 2 is CEO.
Okay.
I mean, the tournament's great. It's just a great tournament. Like, everything that you want to have in a tournament is there. The organization is great. There's a huge arcade room. You can find casuals easily. All the best players in the world are there, so you get to watch if that's what you prefer to do. There's all sorts of little things there. Like they were one of the first that did big artist alleys, and they still do a great job at that. Yeah. There's lots of other stuff to play and do there.
The arcade,
the wrestling. So the arcade thing is huge, of course. The wrestling show I've had a blast at the last couple of years. It's not something I ever intended to go to or expected to go to maybe, but I've really had fun at. So it's got its like unique flavor of this kind of wrestling themed event. The finals in that little like wrestling arena. I like a lot of that stuff. Anyway, it's number 2 because it's in the city that it's in, which is awful.
Yeah. That was the biggest problem right there. So
but for the city, but boy,
I think that was one
everything
of the
else is great.
That kept it off of my list. Unfortunately, was the city. So
don't go to Daytona. It's not great.
So let me do this really quick because I can. My number 1 was again one that I did not go to was the Tekken World Tour Finals. Again, this was the ending of the Tekken World Tour, and I mean, I'm sure we'll get to this at some point in time, but in terms of world tour ending events, it was really well done.
Oh yeah,
had all the storylines, had everything going, great production. The LCQ was awesome and streamed, and there was just a lot of. The format, I love the round robin format. Every year they do such an amazing job, and they travel all around the world. It was in Singapore this year, and it was Singapore, right? Yeah,
Isn't it in
Thailand.
Bangkok?
Thailand.
I think it was in Bangkok.
Yeah. Sorry, Thailand. God, I'm getting my countries. My geography sucks. I'm sorry. My geography is terrible. But yes. So it was in Thailand, and it's cool that they go around every year, and I just think that they do a really good job with that.
Oh, no doubt about that.
There you go. So there's that's my number 1.
All right. Well,
your number 1.
My number 1 for probably the 18th year in a row is the Chicago Major, which is Combo Breaker.
Okay.
It's just the best tournament. I mean, what do you want to say about it? Like, everything that I mentioned about CEO is true for that, but I think it's without the wrestling side, obviously, more focused on the games themselves, and I feel it does that better than anybody else. I mean, in addition, like some of my good friends live in that area, and hanging out with them before and after and during the event is always a big blast. People who I've known for 15, getting towards 20 years at this point, they go there. So there's a lot of that side for me as well, and it's not in Daytona, which is an upside. It's also it's better to be in the middle of nowhere for sure, and so it is, which is a step up. But anyway, the tournament itself, absolutely fantastic. I've had a blast there every single year I've gone.
I mean,
it's amazing.
For me, I mean, Combo Breaker's gotten to that point where I feel like this category is the best non-Evo / Combo Breaker event of the year.
Maybe so.
I'm trying to spread it around a little, which is why I put Frosty Faustings in there.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so I'm, like I said, I'm trying to spread the love just a little bit more. So.
I've definitely had both CEO and Combo Breaker on my list for definitely at least 4 years now.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe
if you notice, I didn't put either of them on there, so.
They're the best to me, so there you go.
Oh, man. All right.
Well, that was Event of the Year.
Yes.
And now, coming up, Match of the Year.
Match of the Year. Wow, I feel like we got here fast. Okay.
Well, it's the third one.
Okay. It's the third one. Out of quite a few topics.
Quite a few. It's definitely a good way to put it.
Right. And I think you're starting with this one.
I believe I'm starting this one.
Yes.
So, I will start it off by taking us way back to... not too long ago when Idom, Idom and Punk played in Capcom Cup Grand Finals.
Okay.
So Capcom Cup Grand Finals, where of course Idom ended up winning. He reset the bracket. It was a 3-2 reset. Then he won 3-1. Obviously, life-changing for Idom to win that much money. Just so out of the ballpark for anything else that you can win, and he's the one who took it. Nobody had him on their radar. He's a player that everybody thinks is extremely good, but nobody picked to win Capcom Cup nevertheless. And he did it versus Punk, the player that everybody thought would win Capcom Cup.
Yeah, not only that, but he's been dominating, and he went up 2-0. It just looked
like... he went up 2-0.
I remember watching it, and it was just like, well, okay, this is the way it was going to go. Punk is just going to dominate this tournament. He had dominated everyone before that in the tournament itself. So,
for sure.
He just blew up everybody in that event.
Yeah, and it was one of the few times that I've seen Punk get hit by fake stuff. I don't flummoxed him so much that he did things like command grab, dash, command grab with Laura, which is not real. You can press a button there. And Punk's reflexes are so good, his understanding of options is so good that just doesn't work on him. But Idom, got him to the point of that, or recognized that Punk maybe has a problem with falling apart in those situations, and Idom recognized that, and he took advantage of it. I just thought everything was so well done. Very fun to watch.
Exactly.
Excellent gameplay. All right, there you go.
Okay. My number 3, probably one that a lot of people would be surprised that I put this on here. But I put down for number 3, Texas versus Florida. MK11.
How did I not think of this?
Combo Breaker Exhibition. Because that thing was disgustingly sick.
Amazing.
It was so good. And the drama on there and the way that the heroes stepped up and just took out a bunch of people in a row and then came back and fought. And oh, God, it was so good. And then...
what a good pick.
The commentary was so good on there, too, because it was raw commentary. Yes. It was just the unbridled... Katana Prime was just yelling and people talking trash. It felt very... FGC. It felt very much what the FGC was about, and so I did get reminded of that, and I was like, oh God, that event was so good. So I put it as my number 3 here. So.
It's such a great pick. I wish I had thought of it, but I didn't.
It was so good. Yeah. Okay.
My number 2 is Axe versus Wizrobe at Smash Summit Grand Finals.
Ooh, okay.
Pikachu won a major.
This is Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, right?
This is Melee.
Melee. Okay. Sorry, I'm typing.
You're doing a lot of things right now. I get it.
Exactly.
Axe vs. Wizrobe.
Smash Summit, right?
That's Smash Summit.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. It was, like I said, it was Pikachu versus Falcon in Grand Finals, which is amazing. So many killers were there, and that's who ended up doing it. So amazing for Axe to finally take it. Like, he had been getting second places. He had been close. And
that was like
Wizzy had like a lot of really good success.
Wasn't that the weekend of Pikachu? Wasn't that like Esam just won like an event, and then like Ash actually won something in the cartoon as well?
I think you're right. I think
that was the weekend of Pikachu. Yeah.
That's right. It was a bracket reset at first, but then Axe won second, 3-1. A lot of really interesting little plays in there. It was a lot of fun to watch.
Okay.
I thought that was very interesting.
All right.
Important result, Pikachu finally wins some hit. Wow.
Okay, let's do this here. Let's get to my number 2. Nice to have a stream producer one of these days.
Maybe in 9 more seasons.
Pretty much. Exactly. Idom versus Punk.
Idom versus Punk,
number
man.
2, yeah. I had that as my number 2 because for a lot of the reasons that we were talking about, it just seemed like Punk was going to win it, like, just free, right? And he had been his demon all the time. Then somehow, when Idom won his first game, I remember thinking to myself, at least it wasn't a 3-0.
Mm-hmm.
And then he won another one, and I was like, And then he reset the bracket, and I was like, oh. Okay, and then he switched to Poison, and I remember I was in the crowd in the back, like standing a bunch of next to the top players back there, and they were like, "No, why are you doing this? Why are you switching?"
Right.
Da-da-da. But it worked out, and
did.
He won with Poison. So there you go. So yeah, Yep, me cleaning the stage. That's right.
That's right.
So yeah, same thing. I had that event over there, that matchup there that you had as well. So
it's a good one.
Okay.
All right, my first match of the year, my favorite match of the year was, I think, the highest level MK11 that's been seen so far, which is Sonic Fox versus Ninja Killa at ECT in the Losers Finals. They have had this rivalry. Again, Ninja Killa, like I was saying earlier.
Which event was this at?
At ECT.
ECT.
Get over here!
He just came out, like, at the beginning of last year.
Wow, okay.
Like, less than a year ago.
We just got hosted by Automatic right there and gave us like a bunch of viewers as well.
Thank you very much. Very nice of you. He has not been playing for very long, but there was a rivalry with Sonic Fox right away because people like saw similarities in how dominant that they were. And so they had met up, and they met up here. And at first, Ninja Killa went up 2-0, and we thought it was going to be a wash. We thought it was going to be a blow-up. And then Fox came back to win it 3-2. Like, every single match was super close. All the rounds were super close. It was the highest level of the mix-ups that you could have that we've seen so far. The highest level of spacing and whiff punishing that we've seen so far. I felt like that was the match that, for me, I already loved MK11, obviously, but that like really was everything that I wanted to be in that game.
Right, yeah. Okay. My notepad, you know how notepad does things right now.
I do.
It's doing some weird stuff right now. My number 1 was actually followed Sonic Fox, but on the other end of things was Goichi versus Sonic Fox for DBFZ at EVO. This match to me, actually let me do this here. Pow. There you go. This match to me, fit. This match to me was, it was just a good storyline. It was a culmination of this storyline that's just been running for such a long time. It's just such a great story. And for Goichi to win it, and honestly, like, I just felt like it was the perfect storm of all the stuff, right? So, one, shout outs to Tasty Jam, who they don't get to commentate together much anymore, which is really a shame.
It is.
But they were doing the commentary for that. They had a great call on there. And then the camera work was also just really well done. Then Goichi's just complete emotional breakdown. Like, it's the one event that still, like, every time I watch it, I get, like, emotional. It was probably the main cry point for me at EVO this past year. Sure. And then Sonic Fox, you know how he is whenever he loses. He's always, how they are whenever they lose. They're always, like, in such good spirits, and they were just, like, raising Goichi's arm, and they were just like, this is so amazing, They were so happy for Goichi. Like, the whole thing just came together so perfectly, and I just thought that was a really good example of what can be the rivalry, but still it's in the game. Mm-hmm. Like, Sonic Fox wanted to win, but when Sonic Fox didn't win, they didn't care. They're like, Goichi, yeah,
Right.
and Goichi with the crying and just the emotion. I just felt it was like the perfect encapsulation of what the FGC is about.
There's so much respect between them.
Yeah,
you could tell, right?
Exactly,
it mattered so much to both of them.
Exactly. And every time I think about it, I get teary-eyed.
For sure.
So,
what a story.
So that's my number one match of the year. So there you go.
Okay. Well, we move on now to...
You want to jump next one or do a break? Yeah, let's do another one.
Let's move on, man.
Yeah, let's just keep doing that.
All right, story of the year for 2019.
Of the year. All right, hang on.
You're starting this one?
Yes.
I'll have you know.
Yes,
so I get to relax.
You get to chillax for a second here. If I'm allowed to say that at my age. So okay.
I think you're only allowed to say that at your age. I don't think anybody younger than you says that.
Wait, I thought that was a new thing, isn't it?
I don't think so.
Okay, all right. Story of the... Damn. Okay, story of the year. This category is interesting. I just have some weird stories here that I want to talk about. So, mine was the changing of the controller guard. I really feel like this was the year where we're finally just kind of like really examining the controller situation, right? Between all these things, the cross-up coming out, right? It's coming out this year. It was a Kickstarter project, but just having it being produced started raising all these questions about Tekken.
Interesting.
Daigo using the Gaffro box really started changing up a bunch of stuff, and the hitbox is getting bigger and bigger and everything like that. And then the cannons coming out with the ruling at Evo that eventually we're just whatever, your game had better handle it, and if it doesn't, then it's not the controller's fault, it's your game's fault for not handling the SOCD properly and everything like that. Yeah. And it's an interesting situation because we really are at a time in which Tekken is designed around one specific input, which is the joystick and button combination, because that's how you are designing to make things difficult to do, right? And it's kind of an archaic way to do it. I'm not saying it's the wrong way to do it. You can't blame them for doing it and having kept it for this many years, but because all this stuff is changing, and I really do think that the proliferation of controllers should be allowed to the point where, it's not outside of macros, obviously, but it really is the game's responsibility to react to the new peripherals as opposed to banning peripherals and stuff like that. And I felt like this year really started kind of, even though we had been talking about it for a long time, about hitbox being, this is absolutely what you should be going to now. I think at this point in time, this last year was when it really kind of hit the mainstream conversation, and will continue to do so at this point in time. So there you go.
I hope and expect you're right.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. Snake Eyes has that crazy controller too.
That is cool.
Yeah.
That was designed for him by the UCLA. I don't remember what the part of it is. Some design crew at UCLA.
I even asked him.
So cool.
I asked him at Capcom Cup too. I was like, "Do you have it? I just want to hold it and see."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I don't have it with me right now," and everything like that. So, but yeah, it's crazy that they just made one for his hand shape.
It's so cool.
Can you imagine if we get to that point where
Right.
they just start making a controller for everybody's hand shape? That just how they feel like it. They can add. I mean, Luffy obviously likes his controllers lights, which was why he keeps using the PlayStation 1 controller, because Rumble is done by weights. And so those controllers are heavier.
Right.
So he's still playing on the super light controller. They could make him a brand new light controller that
Sure. It would
he's
be
on
awesome,
Red
man.
Bull too, right? So,
That's true. Yeah.
There you
That'd
go.
be awesome.
Okay. What's
All
your
right.
number three?
My number one,
Three.
or three, whatever. The first one, aka
Yeah,
number 3, is gonna be the push for netcode.
The push for netcode.
This is finally the time when we, as the plebes of the FGC, have thrown off our chains and have realized that together we are strong, and that we can, through solidarity, affect change amongst the producer class of the video game developers.
Yes.
And so we're trying to make that happen. And I'm not sure if it's going to be successful.
Well, it won't be successful right away.
No,
because,
it can't be successful
because
right
the thing
away.
is, what people don't realize is that the games that are coming out have already been in production, and to implement rollback netcode, you kind of have to have some headway. You gotta have a little bit of headway.
But it has mattered, of course, ever since the beginning. But as far as like our sort of public push towards this, it's never been greater than it is right now.
Yeah.
So I really hope that will affect change.
So much to the point that we actually have the flat earthers of the FGC coming out with people actually trying to argue against rollback netcode. Like, that to me blows my mind that it's even happening. But, just to kind of add to that, Mike Z had even talked about it, that if you have the right design in the UI, you can add delay to the rollback netcode to the point where you turn it into delay netcode. You could just ramp up it and it's the exact same thing. It just, like, if a lot of the games with the rollback netcode have that setting that you can tweak in there, and if you just ramp it up past what the actual physical delay is, it's just you get delay netcode.
Cool.
So if you want delay netcode and that option's there, boom, you just crank that number up to 20, and then it'll play exactly how you want it to anyway. So it doesn't even matter. So,
we'll see if that works.
Yeah.
Yesterday I watched SpaceX launch a rocket up to orbit, and there was a camera on it the entire time, and so you could see that as the world grew in size and was clearly a sphere behind it, you could just see it. But there's still people who believe in flat Earth, so what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Oh man, yeah, exactly. My number 2 story is the battle for rollback netcode. So same thing situation, which is why I was kind of talking about it and already had thoughts about it and everything like that. And yeah. This, I think, is going to be one of the most important parts because, we've been talking about the decade, right? And one of the things that I didn't really get a chance to, talk about the decade. One of the things that I think is one of the most important things of the fighting game community for this past decade is the miserable online experience, right? I think that's one of the biggest things of the decade is that the online experience from 2010 has not improved to 2009. Yeah. It's just a bunch of ranked matches. It's miserable. It's not fun. The netcode
2019.
sucks. 2019. The netcode sucks. All that stuff like that. And so...
Also, it's 2020.
What's that?
Never mind.
Yeah, I know. I'm totally messed up. I'm sorry. But in any case, with GGPO coming out, and obviously that doesn't mean everyone can just plug it in, but now it's free to license and everything. So you have the example right there. You could just go off of that, everything like that. So I think that netcode was one of the biggest stories this year. So
makes sense to me. All right, my number 2 is that Melee still thrives.
Okay.
I really like this. Now, Curly W gave me a bunch of stats to check up on this because the way that I subjectively felt was that it felt like the scene had not decreased in size at all, but it has decreased in size a little bit.
Okay.
That said, there are still a lot of tournaments that have gigantic numbers of entrants for Melee. There's still quickly evolving meta in it with characters who have won tournaments who had never won tournaments before, with players who won tournaments who hadn't won tournaments before. There was a tournament where the gods weren't even in top 4, for example. There's still a lot of evolution and change in Melee. It still gets tons of viewers on Twitch. It's still extremely popular.
You just talked about Pikachu winning a tournament.
Exactly right.
So there you go. Yeah.
So I think that's so cool. It wasn't at Evo, right? And so
didn't hurt it at all.
It didn't seem to hurt it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, maybe a tiny bit, but it didn't really seem to make that much of a difference. So hats off to the Melee scene for continuing and keeping on. It's so cool.
I'm really sad because I really wanted to talk about it and I never got a chance to throw it anywhere into here, but I'll just use this opportunity just to kind of shout out the Unist scene as well for how great that they had at Evo and everything like that. So it's kind of similar situations. Like the scene will always, I feel like, be the thing that keeps the game alive or grows it and makes it stronger. So I think that's really, really cool. So, but the number 1 story of the year, right? I mean, again, I think we all kind of know where this is probably going to go.
Yeah, but how'd you phrase it? Because we phrased the first one differently.
I called the Pakistan Rise to Power.
Okay, sure. I just said Pakistani Tekken. Sure.
Okay, fair enough. Pakistan's Rise to Power, I think, is just a story that doesn't happen. We talked about it earlier with Pakistan and Arson Ash. It just doesn't happen. Right? You will get all the time, this place is really good at fighting games. Sure, buddy. Sure, buddy.
That's happened ever since the days of Shoryuken in forums, right? There's always been the person on there who said, I'm actually secretly the best at whatever game, and my town or school or whatever, we're actually the best, and it's never true.
Right.
That's never right? Like randos you've never heard of are the best.
And
There it
I
is.
always remember, too, because, like, on the forums, there was one guy who was like, I could totally beat Valle and Choi and CVS and everything like that. And I was like, you won't, right? And he's like, what if I came and did? And I was like, then congratulations.
Great.
Come and do it, then. I was just like, come and do it. And, like, everybody was like, you're being way too nice to this guy, James. I'm like, no, but it's true, though. If
Just
he can
do it.
do it, right? And so, you hear like, oh, Pakistan, whatever. And then Pakistan comes out, and they did it.
They did it.
And they absolutely did it. Like I said, to the point where people were convinced to travel to Pakistan and actually train, right? And then you ended up with a situation like, and again, absolutely shout outs to this Pakistani community too, because like when Nee showed up and everything, he was like a hero's welcome, dude. Like they greeted him at the airport, and they had all these people waiting for him and cheering for him when he showed up. I mean, you have this dude from Korea going to Pakistan, and they're cheering for him, showing up at the airport. I mean, that is like some sort of international diplomacy that we don't see in anything. You know what I mean? It's crazy, dude. It's really, really awesome. So for me, it was just, it's going to be an unrepeatable story.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know if this can happen at this point in time, because the thing about it is now everybody's going to want to be the next Pakistan, and it's going to be harder for it to surprise us, I think. So,
I mean, an important part, a necessary part of it surprising us was just that we didn't see them, that we had hubris about it, like, right? Like, it was our own fault. As much as it was them not traveling or whatever. Like, it was definitely our issue as well for not believing it, because there were these whispers for many years and nobody tested it out. Well, not nobody. Some players were good,
right?
We knew,
and it's
but
just
not
like
that many.
Hado says, I can't wait to see how they perform in 2020.
That'll be a big thing.
I think they're gonna do just fine.
For sure.
And I think a lot of that of TWT not making top 8 is going to weigh heavily on them.
That lights the fire.
Yes,
absolutely.
And those kind of things are the best motivators, right? And I just think that it's going to be a continuing story. But like I said, I think at some point next year, I don't think we'll be talking about it, and that's a good thing. It'll just be, he's a player from Pakistan, and he's doing really well. We expect him to do well. He's part of the mix. I don't want to keep this eyeball on Pakistan.
No, I agree.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't want to be like, how are they doing? You know,
agree.
like, so, I'm
you don't
really,
need to treat them as some oddity.
really excited about that. Yeah, Philippines and Peru, all the P countries. That's actually funny.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they're not that. So one day when I had nothing else going on, I spent 15 hours like doing all sorts of research and trying to like cross reference different stats on countries' GDP and wealth, and cities' individual GDPs and wealth, and their level of technology and their access to freedom of information. All these stats. It took me forever to try to figure out like what's like the next likely place.
Wow!
What's like the hidden country or city that's going to be the next geniuses?
That's amazing. Oh my god.
I spent way too long on it, honestly.
You'll have to show me the spreadsheet.
Sure.
Because I know you have the spreadsheet. I know you have the spreadsheet.
It's on this computer.
I know
right
you
here.
have the spreadsheet.
So, yes, it is. Anyway,
that is
in
amazing.
conclusion, I kind of felt like there weren't any more hidden places that had likely chances.
Okay.
Maybe there's a couple geniuses hanging out in Lagos or something like that, but there's not going to be many for sure.
I like Mikey's guess. Atlantis is going to come and do it. Atlantis is going to rise from the ocean and be like, we are the best at Tekken. And we're going to be like, what?
I thought that was Atlanta.
Oh, dang. Okay.
All right. Well, anything else to say about Story of the Year?
Not yet right now. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one.
Okie doke,
sure. Take a break, or
let's just do another one, whatever.
Okay.
And then we can take a break.
Okay, sounds good.
Because I want to eat.
Yeah. Oh, you have food again, right? Okay.
FGC Member of the Year.
Okay, FGC Member of the Year. Now, we've added a category this year for Content Creator of the Year.
Yeah.
So we've kind of split it a little bit now. And so FGC Member of the Year is just someone who just helps grow the FGC overall, just does good work, helps represent, and just does a lot of great things for the FGC, not just content creation and stuff like that, right?
Exactly.
So this is what, the 5th one?
That we've done this?
Yeah, so you go first.
Category. It's the 5th one, yeah.
So we have FGC.
All right, my number 3 is the bracketologist extraordinaire Curly W.
Oh, dang.
Who
Okay.
performs a very important service that not many people think about or care about very much, but that he will spend all the time that you're willing to spend listening to him talk about brackets and bracketology. The reason is because it is such it's so rare that we talk about this side of tournaments, right? The only time that we talk about this side of tournaments is if the brackets are bad. Somebody ruined the brackets, somebody ran a pool wrong. So we get the negative side of it sometimes, but as far as like highlighting the positive side of it, I think this is actually something that is super important. He does a lot of great jobs, a lot of great work with other people as well, trying to make sure that the seating is good. Like I've been involved in seating for events that he runs where, he'll have a bunch of different people and ask for everybody's different thoughts on all the different games and top players, try to get the seating as good as possible. Yeah. He'll try to get the scheduling right along with people who run the event.
One of the main reasons why an event like Combo Breaker can actually run the way that it does, right? Because he does the brackets for that, and like I said, there's millions of games, and people are playing across all these games.
Yeah.
And somehow the tournament runs smoothly and quickly and very on time.
How do you get somebody who enters 80 games in this tournament where they could be holding up different spots, right?
Justin Wong.
I mean, seriously, like there are people who do that. There are people who enter every game. It's not many, but that exists. How do you make it so that they are not holding up different pools, right? I mean, there's a lot of things to think about.
Because I'm in the old man room a lot during this last Combo Breaker because I was doing like ST commentary and Alpha 2, strangely enough, commentary, and like Justin's there the entire time. He was in like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He was like in these random games. And, he's playing. He was in like an EX tournament or something like that. It was crazy, dude. He was playing everything.
Yeah. But yeah, like Rick just said in the chat here, the CB does not function without curling.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just an important role to highlight that we don't talk about often enough.
My number 3 is, it's kind of a makeup one because you had him last year, and I was so mad that I haven't rewarded him at all yet.
Okay.
To this day, which is Ace King Offsuit.
Okay,
how have I not put this guy on here? He's like one of the most important people in the FGC. Not only is he the master of the brackets and the world tour points and stuff like that, he's also the scheduling man and everything. Everyone always asking me, what's the schedule for this tournament? I'm like, check Ace King Offsuit. Check Ace King. Honestly, if you are into the fighting game, there are 3 Twitter accounts you have to follow, right? It's Ace King Offsuit, High Fight, and jchensor. Yeah! No, just kidding. Okay. No, honestly, just 2. It's just Ace King Offsuit and High Fight. Those are the main 2 ones that you have to follow.
Yeah.
And you had Ace King Offsuit at number 1 last year. I would love to put him at number 1. But like I said, I feel like I'm 1 year too late.
Okay.
I should have had him there last year. I feel terrible about it. But, I rewarded a lot of worthy people last year as well.
Fine.
But
you did fine.
Ace King Offsuit is the best. So, yeah.
Also, very cool that he's working with Juked.
Yeah,
which is sort of collation of all sorts of different streams in esports for like every different game, basically. And they have schedules for every game and very expansive. Just you can watch every stream there. They do a great job. And Ace King Offsuit's working with them on that. So that's very cool.
Okay.
All right. So you had Ace King Offsuit, and my number 2 is Willie P and Katamari. Walter Padilla and Zach Kataman. So these are a couple guys who,
How do you
again,
spell
are...
his handle again?
Which one?
Katamar...
I think it's Katter, K-A-T-T-E-R. Yeah, K-A-T-T-E-R-M-A-R-I.
Okay, there you go.
They, again, it's sort of on the back end of things. They do really good work for East Coast Throwdown, where they run it in large sense. And it was a really nice event. They, as part of Intersport, run or are involved with the Mortal Kombat Pro competition and all the scheduling and making sure everything works out on that. There's other events and tournaments that they've worked at as well. They sort of have their hands in a lot of different things, advertising related stuff as well. So there are a couple of guys who are definitely more on the back end, who nevertheless do really important work that helps keep one of the pro tours alive, one of the big tournaments alive, other stuff as well.
Okay. All right.
Shout outs to them.
Yeah, I see them everywhere.
Yeah, they've been traveling a lot.
They're doing a lot of work there. My number 2 that I put down was Stephanie Vexany Lindgren.
Cool, man.
Who, in my opinion, captured some of the most iconic photos of the year, right? That Tasty Steve jumping out of the chair at Combo Breaker is just like that. That's gonna live forever, I swear. But the Arslan Ash picture that she got, right? Wasn't she also who was the one who got the pop off against Scar?
I think that was Stephanie.
I think that was Stephanie as well, right? Like, I think she got that one.
Buffalo and Scar.
She also got the amazing Sonic Fox winning Combo Breaker photo that one year when he beat Goichi in Dragon Ball and everything like that. So, okay, they confirmed it was her. And, dude, like, you can't ask for better, like, that kind of representation in photos that we're getting. And she also won Esports Photographer of the Year for one of the random esports award shows.
Whichever.
And
but seriously, it's awesome.
Yeah, and so I'm really happy for her. So I had her at number 2. I think she provides so much great exposure for the fighting game community. I've given the award to Robert Paul before, and so I really wanted to give a chance to shout out Stephanie as well. So
makes total sense. That's a great pick.
Yeah, Vexany, that's her Twitter right there that you see, Vexani right there. So if you want to see all of her photos, they're right there.
Right.
They're all right there. So.
By the way, I'll never have to call him Daddy because he's going back to being called Buffalo. So.
Yes. Oh yeah, really? Oh,
that's what he said. We'll see. I don't know.
Oh God! Do you see Curly W's comment in the chat right there?
Oh, bummer. Well, we're moving on.
Did you see his number one FGC member of the year?
I did. Yes, I was trying to ignore it.
Okay.
Anyway, my number 1. So in the past, I've said that I'm not going to give this award to the same people over and over again.
Right.
And now we have more categories than we did at that point. I kind of feel like it's more fair to just. And same with the tournaments. Like, if it's the best, just like say it. You know?
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, it's 10-0.
Right.
Is my number 1 crew. The 10-0 crew who do so much streaming of big broadcast events. It's not just become like a little crew of streamers, you know what I mean? It is, but it's everything. It's huge crews, right? The crew to run Evo is I don't know how many people. It's dozens, right? It's gigantic. And same with many of the other events that they go to. They are involved with league ops and running things on that side of things. They're involved with YouTube uploading, advertising, like all the sort of things that you can think of on that side of the FGC. They are among the foremost in doing. Yeah. And they're awesome at it.
Yeah, I mean, last year...
Yeah, Spooky's part of it, right? Spooky
last year, I know we joked that this category should be like the non-10-0, FGC members of the year. We never officially did that, but... I put 10-0 Productions as well.
Did you really?
Because,
wow. Okay.
I mean, look, the thing about it is if we're going to put them in there, we're putting them in there because clearly they're the most... I mean, it's very evident, given the disparity between Tekken World Tour and Capcom Pro Tour, the finals, the disparity, how much the 10-0 means to the FGC in production because we're so spoiled to have a group of people that talented at making productions who know everything about the fighting game community.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
They're just endemic folks, right?
Yeah, exactly. And they're so naturally born into our community that I just think it's a mistake to not get them to run anything of importance in the fighting game community. You know what I mean?
Hard to disagree too much.
They are worth whatever, that they're asking for, and they will make sure the event runs well. That was one of the main reasons why I had Tekken World Tour as my number 1 event of the year is because 10-0 did such a good job running it, and they're so reliable and they're so great. And again, we're lucky to have Seglia in our scene. I'm just going to say that much. And I know 10-0 is a bunch of people.
Oh, yeah.
And I know Seglia spends all of his time going, it's not me, I don't do anything. Yeah. But we're lucky to have that man.
It's more true now than it used to be. He's trained other people to do his work. No. But yeah, it's nice that this invader from the SOCOM community decided to invade 10 years ago.
I know, right? I do want to say one thing, though. I did have an honorable mention because I did have someone on my list that I was going to put on there until 10-0 shoved him off the list. But as I said, my number 3 is often our personal and biased and everything like that. Okay. And so my original number 3, who is now my number 4 honorable mention, is actually Kenny Omega.
Oh,
because
nice.
Kenny Omega is so awesome.
Okay.
And I mean... I've gotten a chance to work with him a bunch, and the amount that he just loves fighting games is legit.
He's just a huge nerd.
He's the biggest
He's just
nerd.
a nerd.
He's the biggest nerd. And it's so cool, and I'm so happy. And actually, you know what? That is a really good point, or only Bernie beats Akuma, because now I actually feel really bad. Because I completely forgot to do that.
What's up?
Actually, what might be one of the most important FGC members of the year might be Sherry Jennings.
Yeah, she was in my runner-up. If I were to have a runner-up, it was definitely Sherry.
I just completely... That flew over my head. Yeah, I may actually... Kenny might have to drop the number 5.
Okay,
then.
you got it.
There you go. But, I mean, again, and he also got to super kick Yoshinoro Ono on stage, right?
Catharsis, James. The catharsis of that moment.
I mean, like... Kenny Omega, he's just awesome. And we're lucky to have him in our scene in a way that's involved, that he just genuinely enjoys everything so much. And again, at Capcom Cup, I got to spend a lot of time in the back room with him and talking and everything like that, and just, you know, all the stuff. And he just genuinely loves the community. And I think that's super awesome. Yeah. But you guys are right. I probably should have had Sherry somewhere in the top 3 up there.
Well, talk about Sherry.
Because she did the E-Fight Pass stuff, which... if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't even have the Arslan Ash story, right? I mean, he won EVO Japan, but he would not have won EVO without E-Fight Pass. So Sherry has started up the E-Fight Pass stuff, which is she's been working on getting all these people the visas to make it there. Right. Zenith would not have been in Capcom Cup were it not for that. The work that she has done to create this program and to get all these players to be able to travel to EVO, to America, and, you know, helped by Justin Wong, who sponsored the entire crew to EVO, you know, flew out like 5 players to EVO from the E-Fight Pass. So, yeah, I actually do feel bad, honestly, because Sherry also is a very good friend of mine as well, and so... it makes me... I feel like kind of like a jerk having completely forgot about putting that on
It's all good, James.
But, you know...
we talked about it in the end.
Yeah, E-Fight Pass is very
important.
Very, very important. So, there you go. Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Okay. All right, so that is our FGC Members of the Year.
All right. Now, did you want to take a break now, or do you want to do the 6th one, or what?
How many categories do we have?
Well, we have 12.
12 categories?
No, 15, excuse me.
15. Let's take a break then. We'll do 5, break, 5, break, and then we'll do 5.
Love it.
That. Okay? All right, guys. We'll be right back in just a second. And... That's right. I don't know if the guys in the chat saw the... So, I mean, some of them are seeing ads right now, but for those who are not seeing the ads, are subscribers. So if you don't want to see those ads, you can subscribe, and then you can watch these slides go by. You can support our Patreon, and then the new split box that you're working on here. And you are... you have your final design here, and you're going to actually start making it for people to order.
That's right, yeah. So if you're interested in that, then send me an email about it. I haven't decided on anything like pricing or the exact options. So that's part of why I haven't decided pricing is knowing like what kind of options should come with it is an important part of setting that up. So if you're curious about it, then send me an email.
Yep.
And let's chat about it.
Price TBD. Price TBD. So there you go. Oh, man. Yeah, one of the... I mean, we'll probably talk about this more on stream, actually. I'll wait. I'll wait to talk about it a little bit. So... yes, and we are on Spotify finally, so you go tinyurl.com/UCTV Spotify, because Spotify, weirdly enough, doesn't have, like, you can't, like, use your username as a link or something. It's very weird or something. I looked for other people's Spotifys, and, like, nobody seems to have a good Spotify URL, so it's like it's really hard to get it, so there you go. You can see it on the slide itself, true or false. If you just wait about... There you go. Questions? Email david@ultradavid.com.
There it is.
You can ask him questions about... Read the slides, man. I created these slides for... No, I'm just kidding. By the way, what do people think of this new Tuesday show logo that we have here? So I created a new logo over here. Let me know what you guys think of that. So with that logo. Slides are too fast, huh?
My dinner tonight is... brie and cheddar with various crackers and some almonds and an apple.
Yeah, for sure. The Tuesday Show logo is weird because the C is in there, so it looks like the Tuesday C Show, and I realize that, and I'm aware of that. And yes, I do think it's actually a little too big, but I do feel like it was kind of based off of your thumbnails that you created.
My own crappy ones. Yeah.
It was the only one that I could think of, and so I just went and did that. Yeah, I was doing a lot of stuff during the break, DJ Blues. I was doing a lot of stuff. I also had a friend from out of town that was visiting, and we were hanging out all the time. We were actually playing a bunch of board games, actually.
Oh, nice.
Have you ever played Dead of Winter, this board game? It's actually really fun. No. If anybody in the chat has actually played Dead of Winter, it's actually super fun. It can be played with 2 players, but it can be played up to 5 players, and it's basically a zombie apocalypse board game where you basically have to like survive the zombie apocalypse and like accomplish these goals and stuff like that. It's actually really fun.
That's cool.
So yeah, it was really, really cool. Had a good time with that. Pandemic was the other game. Actually, Pandemic and Dead of Winter were 2 games that we were deciding between. Mm-hmm. And we just went with Dead of Winter instead of Pandemic. So Pandemic, I've heard, is very, very good as well. So, honestly, the board game scene is really amazing.
Oh, yeah. It's huge.
The stuff that they've come up with is amazing.
It's huge.
So, yeah, I don't know if Cone is still in the chat at some point, but definitely if we ever get a chance to all hang out, if you come and visit again when Jason's here, like we can all just sit there and play some Dead of Winter.
Sounds awesome.
That game is like super fun. So.
All right, well it's done.
Okay, cool. You ready?
Yes, I am.
All right.
All right, welcome back to Tuesday's show. Again, this is of course the UltraChen 2019 Year in Review and Awards, and we're going to move on now to the next one, which is the new category. Of Content Creator / Streamer of the Year.
You know what the worst thing about this is? This title
Not
is
us.
way too long.
I mean, content creator's fine. You don't need streamer, probably.
Okay, I'll just get rid of it. Content Creator of the Year.
There it is. Okay, nice.
Okay.
And again, not us. So we're going to be talking about who our favorite content creators / streamers are. This is, interpretable pretty widely.
Yeah.
People who make content. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of different people who do that. So, I believe you are
I will be first
starting here.
Yeah, and again, this is me doing my stream producer, text, copy, paste, cut, all this stuff here. Where is this category on my list here? Okay, yes. I'm cheating here again. This is another one of those dual ones that I'm awarding over here, but that's because they kind of fall into the same category. But my Content Creator of the Year, number 3, is actually Shunao and Wave-chan. Okay. Shunao is an artist who's been doing a lot of stuff for the fighting game community, and I'm just like... One of the things that makes me super happy about what she's doing is, she's built up this big following on Twitter and everything like that. She does a bunch of artwork for the anime community, but Arxis, is acknowledging her work and stuff like that. They have her, she's at Arc Revo, they've got her selling their wares. Can you imagine the company saying, okay, you can go ahead and make money off of our property. Right. Go ahead, and all that stuff.
That's
Not
awesome,
only that, but she also created the Unis shirts that were given away or that were sold at Evo. You remember those nice Unis shirts? She actually got to design all that stuff like that.
Awesome.
Wave-chan, aka Irene Lee, she's the one who does all the Meowva versus Capcom stuff like that. But in particular, I don't know if you saw the video she released before the year ends. She's also a fervent MVCI player, right. And now she's creating all these tokens and things like that for the course of the year, if you win MVCI, you get to, or participate, she's going to hand you these things that you could try collecting them. Whoa. You can collect these gems that you can put on this glove thing that she drew or something like that.
Wow.
It's crazy what she's doing to try to help promote MVCI.
That's
so
awesome.
I actually have them both there. She got second place. I think it was at was it at ECT or something like that?
It was towards the end of the year.
Yeah, it was towards the end of the year. She just got second
NEC
place, or was that NEC?
It was
NEC. She got second place at NEC. She runs Zero Sigma, I think it is. So she's also super good at MVCI, and so she does a lot of really cool stuff. Yeah, so you get an Infinity Card Gauntlet that gets stickers at each major, and so you can try to collect them, trade them with people, and so she's trying to really help promote the MVCI scene, and I think that's super cool. So
100%.
shout outs to both of those two. Yeah, there you go.
All right. Well,
Who do you have?
My first one is going to be FGC Translated.
Oh, okay.
This is a newish YouTube account that takes streams that have been done by Japanese players. Where they're talking, they're hanging out with their chat like people do,
right?
But it's just in the language that I can't understand, and like a lot of people can't understand.
Yeah, and
so
it's some of the most important players
and it's,
too.
It's particularly like some of the top players, that sort of stuff, and it gives you an insight into what they're thinking, and this is an insight that I've never had really before. Like I've only ever had sort of.
No one's ever had this, man. I'll tell you this.
I mean, maybe if you understand Japanese, right? But if you don't, then you've been kind of out of it. And every now and then I'll get a chance to talk with some of these players at tournaments. If there's somebody who's there who I know speaks Japanese, right? There's some folks who've been able to translate and we talk, but that's very rare and limited, of course. So it's been super cool to get their perspectives on things like, when Season 5 came out for Street Fighter 5, like which characters they think are good, which are not, and I want to know about what everybody thinks.
Yeah.
So I'm not like prizing the Japanese perspective in particular, but this is a group of the strongest players that for me have been sort of behind a wall, right? Of like not really understanding.
Yeah, none of us really knows the gender of FGC Translated either. So but yeah, I mean, providing a very valuable service. I feel really bad because I don't actually watch a lot of the content that FGC Translated puts out. I just don't sit down and watch YouTube a lot, right? It's just one of those things that I have trouble doing. Because the thing about it is, whenever I have stuff that I watch in the background, it's always in the background. It's stuff that I don't have to pay attention to while I'm eating or something like that. So, but I feel like something for an FGC Translated I would actually need to pay attention to.
It's great. I highly recommend it. I would say that lately they've been getting a little bit... They've been making sure that every video is 10 minutes or longer, right? To get the ads in there. So, maybe tamper down a little bit on that front. But anyway, the service is very important.
I've seen a lot of highlights from High Fight, putting FGC Translated clips on there and everything with the subtitles. He's been doing his own translated stuff as well. But, I recognize how valuable FGC Translated is, and I had it as number 2.
Oh, dang!
So I actually had FGC Translated, but I just have to give the caveat that I don't partake in it that as often as I should.
I see.
But I realize how valuable the service is in getting the perspective of the Japanese players, and just like I said, for us growing up, Japanese players were always, we don't know what they're doing, what they're thinking. We don't get to see their personality. And now we actually get to see their personality. Granted, a lot of the players are trying to be way more personable than they used to be. Like, Daigo is just like, he's so silly on his stream.
Imagine a stream of Daigo 15 years ago.
Yeah, pretty That's what it is. Was him during the Evo Moment 37, too, just like... Exactly. So I did have him as number 2 as well. So there you go. So FGC Translated is number 2. So who did you have as your number 2?
I had Maximilian.
Oh,
as number 2.
Okay.
Well, I feel like you can't have his. I don't know. He needs to be mentioned. I feel, especially because this is the first.
Is it 2 L's or 1 L? 1 L. Okay.
This is the first year that we've done this category, and so he, I feel, needs to be mentioned because he's like the one. He's like the biggest FGC stream.
Okay, that's kind of fair, yeah. Again, it was like that combo breaker status thing where I was like, everybody knows Max.
Well, they do, but it's the first time we've done it. So, I mean, he's got to be in that list.
Yeah.
He has the biggest audience. He's very positive. He does a bunch of different games. I've met a lot of people now who come to tournaments and tell me that they got into the FGC by watching Max's videos.
I was just about to say that.
It's been happening for years at this point. It's not a new phenomenon.
So
he's been very effective at getting people into the scene in the first place.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Max.
I mean, he is the popular streamer who is also in the FGC so that he can drive people in that direction, right?
Definitely.
Whenever you get some of those other people's, like I know Dyrus has been playing Tekken, right? Yeah. But that's rare. You don't get that kind of situation, right? So, okay.
It is rare.
Okay.
Shout out to Max, man. I used to play third with him back in mid-2000s in Family Fun.
Yeah. So my number one is actually Sejam.
Sejam, nice, yeah.
Because he has just been just killing it in terms of content. Sure. This past year, he has become one of the most prolific FGC streamers. I mean, he regularly gets 1,000 people on a stream all the time. He's always talking about a lot of stuff. The net code.
Yeah.
issue was basically kind of started by him.
He drove a lot
He's
of it,
the
no
one
doubt,
who started doing that. He's basically kind of become, must-watch FGC content now. And, he's done such a good job with that. He brings up a lot of stuff. He does a lot of the match analysis. His YouTube is just, like, amazingly organized and everything like that. And so, shout-outs to Magic Most as well, because he is an amazing person who does a lot of great work for Sajam as well. But I really do feel like Sajam right now is, like, one of the most influential members because of, the stream and all the stuff that he's talking about. I mean, look at the rollback netcode stuff. And
definitely.
He definitely got the ball rolling on that one.
Yeah, for sure. He's a great pick. My number one, though, was Arturo Sanchez.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. That's where I thought you were going at first.
Yeah.
Anyway, Art. So, Art has been one of the biggest streamers for a long time, but again, this is the first time we've had this category, so I felt like it was something to talk about for sure. But, he's got his own stream. He does stuff for Spooky. And I think the thing that stands out to me most, that it is just a service that, like, nobody else does, is take old school games and stream them beautifully with tournaments that he has helped organize in some cases, that he flies out to, that he spends time and money to go to in order to highlight. He's got the tech for it that very few other people do. Watching the Marvel 2...
But, dude, I was just about the Battle of the
Strongest a couple weeks ago.
The quality of that...
so pretty. I mean, it was amazing.
I went back and looked at some old MVC2 footage on YouTube, and it's gross.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, like, it's all zoomed and, like, blurred, and, and then you watch Battle for the Strongest, and, like, I could, like, sit there and, like, click on pixels. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I could... dude, it's...
And no, he didn't make that hardware, but he has popularized it
and
really
he's perfecting it as well, because, like, I've done a little bit of work with him to be able to get Tetris the Grandmaster working, and there's another guy who helps out with that a lot as well, Beast 1X5, I think it is, that helps out a lot. And the OSCC, which I have one of, which helps, like, it's the line doubler and stuff, which is one of the keys. It's not a scaler, because scaling is what adds all the blurriness to it, but the line doubler is the clean one, right?
Gotcha.
But that thing is, like, it's got, like, 900 settings that you gotta save all the different settings, and, like, literally both Arturo and Beast were just like, okay, so if you want to stream the Dreamcast, we have the settings here, we'll tell you this, you save this one, and this one is designed for the Neo Geo games, and let me adjust it. Like, I've seen examples of him taking the color to the Neo Geo games, and on two different ones, using same hardware, they look a little different, so he'll tweak them, and then they come out, and they both look perfect and beautiful. Like, it's work, dude. Like, when I started going down that rabbit hole and I started talking to Arturo about it, it was just one of those things where I was like, let me get a super gun so I can stream this. And it was like, oh, if you want to stream it, then da, 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 da. And I was like, what the hell have I gotten myself into? It is crazy, dude. So Arturo is doing amazing stuff. So really good pick. Really good pick.
So just to plug that is twitch.tv/NYCFurby and /Team Spooky. With zeros, if you've never heard of Team Spooky before. Also, twitch.tv/Sajam.
Yes.
You mentioned twitch.tv/ Actually, what's Max's that I watch all the time? Is it Maximilian? Because his YouTube and his Twitch are different, and that gets me mixed up. But I believe it's Maximilian on Twitch.
Yeah.
And then the FGC translated YouTube is whatever. FGC translated.
Yeah, he does a lot for the SC16, Soul Calibur 6. He does it for everything.
Who are you talking about?
Arturo, yeah. He does a lot of stuff for everything.
Definitely, yeah.
So there you go.
He's always pumping the matcherinos out there.
Yeah, I know, right?
Helping the players get paid more.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Maximilian Dude, of course.
Maximilian Dude. That's our Maximilian_DOOD. And yeah, Crispy Love You is absolutely correct as well. You know, there's a lot of great streamers out there. Smug, Automatic, Brian F, and those guys.
Here's a huge list that I made, that I like finally winnowed down. Was the ones that I mentioned, and then on top of that, Spooky, Eris, Sajam, Callisto, Jibbo, Ketchup and Mustard, Mr. Aquaman, Honeybee, Bum, Hold Black to Block, R Street Fighter, Born Free, Anime Illuminati, and then the YouTube video channels that upload CFN match videos like Caroso, Maniaco Games, and Misatsu.
Yeah,
those are the ones that I watch the most.
There's a lot.
So shout out to everybody involved
out there. I tried to kind of divide it up between different kinds of content.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. Okay. So I really wanted to give a shout out to like artists and stuff like that.
For sure, man.
Okay. What do we got here?
All right, the next one is going to be Commentator of the Year, not us.
Commentator of the Year. I mean, I think we could put ourselves if we really felt like it. So.
You know I'm my number one fan.
It's true. It's true. It's true. But you go first. So you
I go first? Oh, wow.
Yeah, you get to do number 3.
Okay, so my third place Commentator of the Year is Rip.
Rip. Okay.
Shout outs to Rip.
That's why I had third place last year. Actually,
really?
Before we start, can I say one thing really quick? Last year, I had Vicious at number 1 because I really felt like he came into his own.
Yeah.
I really kind of wish I saved him for this year because I feel like this year he really... Like, Vicious is Vicious now. You know what I mean?
Sure, dude.
Like, he has his own personality. But I gave him number 1 last year, so he's not on my list this year.
Okay.
So I just wanted to mention that right there. So,
Yeah, I too did 3 different people compared to last year.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
there's just so many good ones. So.
Yeah. I had a Rip as number 3 last year. So
Gotcha.
Okay.
Well, I loved Rip's work this year. I thought he was great. Tekken 7 is a great game, and he's clearly super hype about it, which is like not irrelevant in being a good commentator. That's super important, actually. And you can tell how much that does matter to him. He's done a really good job at making catchphrases happen without killing them, which I think is way easy to do. And it's part of why I don't really do catchphrases. But he's done a great job at like picking some stuff and like making it count, and that he doesn't overuse it is great.
So every time I use my catchphrase, is it going to kill?
At least with things like that and with Final Fight Around, at least that stuff is like inherently limited.
Right.
You can't do that constantly,
But
which
you
is
get
good.
it, though, am I going to kill my is it going to kill?
Oh,
that's what I was asking.
I didn't get
is it going to kill?
Now I get
is
it.
Is it going to get killed?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, you got to give yourself support.
Yeah, I'm going to give
That's
myself
important.
props for that one. So there
That's
you go.
important.
Okay.
He's also done a great job on the SFL as
He
an
was
interviewer.
so good. He
Loves
was so good.
interviewing.
Yeah,
So, shout outs to Rip.
I think that hosting role, especially because like I did some of the hosting role and I interviewed people at Capcom Cup for the Street Fighter League, and it's hard, man. Like one of the questions I asked, I completely blew.
Did you?
Yeah, I blew the question and I hated it. I was so mad at myself, and the way Rip did it is just so. Like, he's so effortless.
Yes.
He's so smooth with it. So
Yes.
I really strong appreciation.
That's the
for
thing
that.
about seeming effortless is that it's really hard.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
What do you got?
A little bit. So what I think it's if you want to raise the level of commentary, you have to have it lowered, right?
Wow.
Logan, Sama, an F word, low word. Get it? Lowered.
my
See,
God.
there you go.
How long have you been working on this?
Just for like. I mean, when I wanted to give it to him, it just came up that way.
Nice work.
I don't know.
Nice
so
work.
there you go. So, but I mean, these guys have been doing it for a long time. I've never had them on here, and they've been traveling to a bunch of different events this year. They've had a chance to go to a lot more events. Tenno has been using them for a lot more stuff, and I like commentating with them. I see them all the time, and I just really feel like they deserve a lot of credit for a lot of the work that they've been doing. So. Again, it seems weird that in the past few years I've never put them in. Well, we didn't have Commentator for a long time.
Last year was the first.
Yeah, so I feel like it's good to get them in there as well because of the great work that they've done. So there you go.
Or maybe we've done it for 2 years before this. But anyway, for a long time we did not do it. Again, this is the 9th season of UltraChenTV.
I know, it's weird, dude. It's so crazy.
Pretty incredible.
Oh my days. Dude.
Okay, so
they don't have a team name, so we got Tasty.
They don't, I guess.
So that's why I was trying to think, I wanted to name them by their team name, and I was like, what was it? And so the word lowered came, so I was like, oh, that sounds funny.
I
was like, okay, so
makes
if
fun
you
of
want
them.
to
I appreciate that.
raise the quality, and also shout outs to them, by the way, for always making sure that a U.S. player wins Capcom Cup. I'll always give them that.
There you go.
Give them that, so.
More U.S. players have made Capcom Cup Grand Finals than Japanese players. Take that, everybody.
All
right. My second place is Seijan.
Seijan.
Which is why I didn't give him the nod in the content creator category, because he's definitely deserving it.
Okay.
But no, I saved it for this one.
Okay.
I thought he did a great job this year. I thought it was really good. He is one of the best, sort of jack of all trades type of commentators, which is a really important role. You have people who would much prefer to do one thing or the other, whether it's you're the informational one or if you're the hype one or whatever it is. And then finding people who can do all of that stuff well is pretty rare. There's only a few, and he did a great job at that all year. So shout outs to Steven. He's extremely strong.
Okay. My number.
By the way, also having a big impact on like the next generation of commentators. So like I feel like we had a big impact, right, on that. You're talking about Jeremy, like Steven, right? But now there's commentators coming up who I've heard in other languages have the nasally affect that Steven does in his normal speech.
There's a lot of commentators that sound like Sage.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Like they have copied parts of his thing that he only does because he broke his nose once.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I did not know.
Yeah,
okay.
he broke. I think it was wrestling. He broke his nose, so he has this like nasal.
They should all break their noses. There.
Yeah. So it's very funny to hear that and to like know that like the sort of generations of commentary are keeping it going on. It's
like
so
I mean,
cool.
like Seglia has his voice because he drank too much lemonade. Like there's always like these weird stories.
That's what happens, right?
Yeah. Man, okay. Now, my second place person, I actually gave FGC Member of the Year before we had a commentary thing, but this one's kind of more of a personal pick for me because he actually didn't get to commentate that much this year, but it's someone that I have always felt like is one of the best commentators right now.
Okay.
Absolutely, and that's Katana Prime. So Katana Prime, I know you gave commentator, I think, last year, but this year I know was particularly rough for him. It was a very, very tough year for him. For many reasons.
Absolutely
for
right.
absolutely many reasons. And we did not get to hear a lot of Katana Prime commentary, but I personally do think he is my favorite commentator. Like, the way that he weaves, he has that flower of speech that I think only Seth Killian has in terms of the level of commentators that we have.
Yeah.
You got a lot of people who are hype, you got a lot of people who are... He's the one that kind of has that speech pattern that's very poetic, and the way he describes things just comes out flowing, and it doesn't sound like he's trying. It's not like when I do puns. Like when you hear puns, it's like, you know that my brain probably had to do some processing to do something. Like stuff comes out of Katana Prime and it's so natural and it flows so well. And like I said, I just want him to know, I mean, I don't know if he'll get a chance to see this or anything, but I just want to know that we love him. And I really do hope that we see him get to do a lot of great things this coming up year. He got to do the Soul Calibur Invitationals. He was at EVO as well and everything. And, you know, I think he's one of the best. And, you know, I hope he sticks with it. I hope 2020, I hope this new decade proves for the rise of Katana Prime here, because he absolutely deserves it. And I think he's wonderful. So, yeah. So, there you go.
That's very nice.
Yeah. So, there you go. That's my number 2.
My number 1 is Tasty Steve.
Yeah, okay.
So Tasty Steve has been, you know, one of the best commentators for many years. It's not new, but I felt like this year was like particularly great for Steve. Yeah. He's such a unique guy. I've said this many times, but I feel like he's the only one of the people who do commentary who is just born to be an entertainer. Like he would be entertaining regardless of what the circumstances are. He would figure out a way to do that. That's just his. It's his personality. Like there's no extra affect. He didn't have to learn how to be interesting. He didn't have to learn how to be entertaining. He's just this little ball of energy that is constantly super engaged. And like I said, this year that's been the case, but this year I felt was just particularly good for Steve.
I mean, we were doing the Pocky KO thing at Capcom Cup, but even before that, before it came back on stream, we were asked to go and entertain the audience during the break. And the way that Steve did that, like if they just sent me out there, like I had to do it the one time I swept the floor, right? You know, which again I did on purpose, right?
No, I know.
You know, but like I was trying to engage the audience, and it's hard because you're up there, you're by yourself, but when I was with Steve before the Pocky KO stuff happened, and he was just coming out and just like, here, take this Pocky, do that, like it's so natural to him.
You did an act where you were sweeping the stage. What was Steve's thing that he did?
He just walked out and just started talking to people.
Exactly my point.
And I asked Steve, I was like, how do you do this? And he was like, I just come out and talk to people.
Exactly right.
I just say what comes to my mind.
This is what I mean, right?
Like it's amazing.
If I were you, I would have had to think of something in advance too. I don't know if I would have done the sweeping thing, although it was funny, but like I would have done something probably different. But Steve is just like, let's do it, and he is just himself, and that's all he needs to be in those situations. Yeah, it's really great.
He's ridiculous, and I will say, he's not my number 1.
Okay.
Although he was originally my number 1.
Oh wow! All right.
I didn't put him there because honestly, I wanted to take a chance, and this is of course cheating here.
Whoa.
Again, I all year long, every single event we go to, right? You just see Mark, Rip, and Tasty doing Tekken commentary at like every freaking event.
Okay, what do you got?
Every freaking event.
What's the name?
Like, honestly, I just put the entire Tekken commentary crew because I feel
I was
like...
hoping you'd have like a Markman Tasty.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Combination name. All right, fine. Anyway, it's a good thing.
Look, they have been putting in so much work. And like, I remember it was like at CEO, those three were the only ones commentating. And I just saw them rotating the entire Friday, the entire Saturday, and the entire Sunday. And I'm just like, that is crazy. But then also, MYK has been stepping up. Spag has been stepping up. Rixta is doing really well. Majin Obama's been doing a lot of great work for them. And again, part and parcel of the whole just Tekken being amazing, I think really goes to a lot of credit to these guys here. And, Tasty Steve, clearly, no offense to any of the other guys, I think is the main part of that, is the main spark of that, because he is just who he is. And I really wanted to, he was my number one for a very long time on my list.
All right,
but
let's go, Steve.
I really wanted to also acknowledge the other guys on Tekken, because I feel like because of the way Steve does the commentary, he's affected what Markman and Rip and what MYK and Rixta, how they kind of all do. Because like Tekken is just a ball of energy when you hear people commentate that game, and it's amazing stuff. I said 2 years ago that I really wanted to see if I could get into Tekken commentary. I'm not there yet because I just don't understand the game well enough. It's still not a goal that I'm putting away. I would still love to do it one of these days, but these guys raise the standard so high that it's like every time I watch them, I'm just like, I can't do this. Like, there's no way I can do this, but I'm going to keep trying. But this is the standard that I have to go to. You know what I mean? And these guys are ridiculous and they're amazing. So shout outs to all of them. Shout outs to all of those guys. So.
I felt for a couple of years, several years ago, that Tekken had the weakest commentary.
I did too. Yeah.
I felt that way for a couple of years. But that hasn't been true for the last couple of years. And this year I thought it was the best. Of all the individual games / like communities, Tekken did the best job, I thought, on commentary. At least in English. That's all I got for it. It's my only language.
I did cheat. This is a reward for a lot of people, but with a little emphasis on Tasty Steve. So
I hear you, dude.
Again, Tasty Steve he's another one of those guys that we're lucky to have him in our community. Yeah. Because he would have been this guy in any scene.
He would have.
And he happened to be that here for us. So that's the thing.
Shouts to Steve. I mean, look, by the way, I don't want to make it appear as though Steve was like just fated to do this. He took a risk in moving out to California.
Yeah.
Which was huge in doing that. He's like made connections. It's not like Steve is not playing a part in this. Like he's just like accidentally just walking around happy. Not the case at all. He's putting a lot of work, but it's all paying off. Nice work.
Yeah. Dude, and again, Markman, I mean, he says in the chat that he feels like he just kind of got burnout from traveling and stuff like this and doing commentary.
Mark did, of course. How could he not?
I mean, that's what I mean. That's why I had to give the award to the whole scene, because how much work do these guys have to do event after? I saw them at every event, and gosh, like, I mean, we travel to a lot of events, and I feel it a lot of the times too. There's some events that you go to and you're just like, okay, and it's rough. So
it can be work, man.
Yeah, there you go.
Entire Tekken crew. Okay. Yeah, so well, shout outs to commentary. People are doing good work out there.
Yeah, exactly. And the commentary crew out there is probably has the strongest depth of all time at this point.
Oh, so, yeah, for sure. It's just been getting better across most games. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that was a lot of great stuff that we were talking about. But let's quit it and move on to the worst.
Are we going straight to the worst of the year?
Well, I don't want to finish with the worst.
Yeah,
That would be a bummer.
Okay.
So let's go to the worst thing of the year.
Okay, so I'm starting this one, right?
Yes, you are.
I am starting this one. Worst of the year.
And this is anything, any topic, whatever happened. It's anything. We're not trying to spend too many categories on what the worst was. So we're rolling it all into one thing.
Exactly. This is just, these are the downsides. We wish this stuff wasn't happening in our scene, kind of stuff like that, right? And so for me, the number 3 thing, worst of the year, is leaks.
Leaks, right? Oh boy.
Can we please stop it? Like, I understand people want to data mine and feel like they're the first to know and they like to spoil everything, but like, having the Honda, Lucia, and Poison reveal ruined at EVO, having Ganryu and Fakuram ruined at Tekken World Tour. I'm tired of it. I want to be excited. I want to be hyped by these things. Like when you watch,
100%.
like the first time we saw the Geese trailer, do you remember how crazy the audience went, right? Can we just have that again? Like, okay, I get it. There's people out there who like to spoil shit because they just like the grief, right? There's just the griefers out there.
I mean, there's a feeling of being the first. There's attention on you, right?
But then the problem with it is people,
sucks for everybody
when they
else.
get spoiled, they want to grief. In revenge.
Oh, yeah.
So they jump into the Tekken World Tour chat and they spam all the leaks and everything. Can we just get over that? Can we just be mature adults about everything? The answer is no. Never gonna happen.
Yep.
Never gonna happen. But
it would definitely be nice if, like, Steam didn't leak stuff,
God.
and if Microsoft didn't leak stuff, right? In some of these cases, it actually was not the fault of the developer or publisher itself. It was the, distribution or whatever
Those
it was.
two particular leaks that I mentioned were actually not the fault. It wasn't Capcom uploading the patch during Capcom Cup, right? I mean, that time it legit wasn't their fault, and I was really surprised that even Gil and Seth were able to not be leaked. You know what I mean? Like,
there were
they were data miners.
strong
out there.
rumors
Yeah,
out
it's true. But I mean, we're not gonna stop it. But I hate it.
I 100% agree.
Hate it. So there you go. That's my number 3 worst thing.
Totally, it sucks.
Okay.
All right, so yours was leakers. Mine is Capcom Cup.
Yes. Okay.
Capcom Cup was the really bad tournament. We spent a literal hour about
I knew
it.
we were gonna I knew we were gonna talk about it later on because I knew.
Yeah, we definitely talked about it for an entire hour on the Tuesday show. 3 weeks ago, whenever it was. Our wrap-up show of the Capcom Cup. Yeah, it was bad in many different ways, including. Because it's a lot to remember here. No LCQ stream, the bad venue, losers matches were played off stream, the setups might have been laggy, and so on.
Yeah, the person running the screens did not know the players, and so they would get the names and all that stuff wrong, etc., etc. Yeah.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
And it was surprising because it hasn't been that bad before.
Yeah.
Well, not just Capcom Cup. It was bad for anything. No tournament ran like that. It was really gnarly.
Spoiler, I don't have it listed on mine because I feel bad because I feel partly responsible because I was kind of part of the team that tried to. But there was nothing I could do. Yeah, there was nothing I don't think I could have done.
Nobody blames you.
Still, I was there, and even when the matches were getting played off stream, I was running around. I was like, can we get a projector and at least projectile? Can I get a projector and at least show it on something so everyone can watch it easily? Can we pipe it to the TVs that are in the venue so people can watch it? Can we do this?
Yeah.
And I messaged you right away. I was like, please come and stream this stuff on the phone. You couldn't even watch Kichipamu Tokido because of that. Which is obviously a match you had a huge investment in.
One of the matches I most wanted to watch.
Yeah, it was tough. And again, like I said, it's tough because I worked with a lot of those guys, and I know that they were trying their best, and I know that they were doing their best effort. But again, this is why when we talked about 10-0, why we're so lucky to have some endemic crew in here that just knows the scene very well, right? Because they had the lag problem at NARF, and then the lag problem persisted there, even though they did everything that they thought was the problem to fix it, right? And so I don't know what the problem was in the end, but it's just it's frustrating because we've never had that problem when 10-0 was doing stuff before, and it's frustrating to say the least.
Well, the matches were great, the players did great, and the commentators did great. I don't think anybody blames anybody on that on either of those sides of things. So.
Yeah.
Not your fault.
Yeah. I mean, look, the Pocky stuff. I'm gonna say this though. I was kind of in charge of doing the Pocky intermission and everything, and I felt like I made it as entertaining as I could. Right? In fact, I thought it actually turned out better than my because of the way that the Kenny Omega had that timer run out thing on him. I thought that was amazing. But for that kind of stuff, that's going to be the reality moving forward. That's the reality moving forward. We're gonna have stuff like that, right? people talk about, why can't we get more prize money? Why can't FGC do this? Why can't FGC pay more people? Because we need sponsors, right?
Yeah.
And with sponsors, that kind of stuff comes. Now, can we do more integrated stuff? Like, can you imagine, like, Roundtable? Like, how have we not gotten sponsored by Roundtable with Eris, right? And like, the analyst desk, the Roundtable analyst desk, how beautiful is that, right? With Yipes talking about Pringles all day. Let's turn Pringles into a good thing. Like, yo, he's so Pringles as a good thing. And like,
That's a good thing.
You know, like, and have Pringles come in here, right? How is Popeye's Chicken not a sponsor of the FGC yet, right?
You know, I don't know.
We don't need to go after PC sponsors. There's plenty of sponsors. We have the most welcome, ethnic, diverse male audience from age 16 to like age 50 something. Like, we are the perfect demographic for like every company that ever exists out there. We don't need to go for, you know, gigantic gamer chairs that most of the people are not gonna buy.
Dang,
you know what I mean?
Are you saying the gamer
like,
chairs suck?
I don't say they suck.
Okay.
It's just that they're expensive, and
right.
FGC is poverty, you know. But like Popeye's Chicken, Pepsi, come on, like, I mean, Pepsi, are you serious right now? I mean, come on, like, that would be a perfect sponsor. And that's how I feel about it. So that's just what I have to say about the Pocky stuff. It's a reality. It's going to be something that we're going to have to expect, unfortunately. So
Holy Totinos.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
By the way, they didn't like that.
What's that?
They didn't like that.
They didn't like it? Really?
Yeah.
That's surprising. It was a perfect
Is it surprising?
integration.
I'm not sure.
It's a perfect integration. Well,
All right.
I will say Pocky really did enjoy the Pocky KO stuff.
That's
that
good.
We did, and they thought it went really well. So there you go.
All right. Oh,
Okay.
yeah. We're moving on.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get the bad stuff.
All right. More bad stuff. More bad
All right.
stuff.
My number 2 is...
Wait, it's my turn for number
Oh.
2, isn't it? Because I did leaks first. Yes, I did leaks first. So
Okay.
I'm doing the next thing here. So,
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you did.
So although I said I didn't put Capcom Cup in there, it's kind of part and parcel of this one. And, you know, outside, and I'm not talking about the Tekken World Tour, because clearly they killed it this year with the dojo events and stuff like that. But overall, World Tours need to step up, right? We've had the SNK debacle with the Ronin Rumble and all that stuff like that, you know, and like, hey, we have all these events. They're all in China. They're invitational. You can't even enter, you know. And then I heard like the Arc Revo World Tour, while it was run, you know, while it was a good event, there was some, you know, production problems there.
That's what I heard too.
You know, obviously, you know, I'm still sad because like the Soul Calibur Invitational, like I didn't even know what was happening that weekend. I just lost track of it and stuff like that. Granted, that wasn't a world tour, and they're going to do a world tour this year, but I just feel like a lot of these groups need to step up, including Capcom. Like, what happened with Capcom Cup is a shame. It shouldn't have happened that way. And so I'm really looking forward to 2020 having a lot of people really try to up their games. And, you know, for like Arc Revo and stuff like that, I know people who are, like, at least on the US side, working on Arc Revo, they want this stuff to be amazing. You know what I mean? It's not that they don't care. It's obviously there's red tape, budget, all these things that kind of get in the way. But, you know, I'm hoping that this year a lot of people actually get the opportunity to kind of do what they really want to do and have a chance to make things shine. I mean, Capcom Cup is interesting. They're doing the 2 seasons, but just being in France for the finals, I think is really cool.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, I think that's really cool already this coming up year. But they've got a lot to do to kind of make up for how it ended last year. Yeah. And you know, I just feel like the world tours are important. They're so important for the scene. They're so important for the scene, and so, you know, I hope they really do step up a lot. So there you go.
The world tours. Okay. All right. My number 2 is people who are overly invested in and defend infiltration.
Okay.
There's a group of people out there that I feel defend him in a way where you can tell that it's them that they're defending. It's themselves that they're defending.
Ow. Okay.
And that really bothers me. And now we talked about infiltration a lot in the past. You know, he's, I guess, going to be doing Street Fighter again this coming year. You know, I'm definitely okay with the idea of somebody having punishment and doing it and then coming back and we give them another chance. That's okay with me. But it's the people who defend him specifically because of gross stuff that I don't like at all.
Yeah.
That to me that's the biggest problem in the situation is that I feel that obviously we all liked watching Infiltration, but once the allegations came out of him, there was this like defense crew that came. I don't know any of them personally, but I've seen plenty of it online. That came out that defends him like specifically for the gross stuff. That I feel like you just shouldn't defend him for that. You shouldn't defend him.
It almost like it made it so that they cheered him on more.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right?
Exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
Exactly what I mean. So that's a big problem. There's like a subset of people that just do that in general, and I'm sorry that we have that in the FGC too, but we do, and it's a big bummer.
So, I mean, one of the things that I don't even know if a lot of people are aware that this happened at one point in time. After EVO, I made the comment on the show that I was, like, I'm not sure how I would have felt commentating if I was doing Sam Show Top 8 at EVO. And because of that statement, I don't even know if people know, but, like, I got massively attacked.
Yeah.
Right? People were trying to cancel me. They were trying to dig through my Twitter
Cancel.
No, honestly, they were.
I just think the word's silly.
It's a silly word, but they were trying to find the worst tweets of mine.
Yeah. For sure.
Like all these things like that.
Yeah, that's happened to me too.
Yeah, and they've like tried to find every way to take me out, which was actually kind of funny because they couldn't really find that many terrible things for me on Twitter, which actually kind of validated me in a lot of ways, right? So I was actually kind of but like it's crazy how much they went after you for stating something that makes total sense. If someone is convicted of a crime like that, you're not happy with it. My belief is that he was convicted of the crime because that's a fact, right? I mean, that's a fact. So I'm going to be uncomfortable with it. But the fact that I stated something that I feel like should be a natural human reaction, they all came after me, and they wanted to take me down. You know what I mean? And it's weird that it's that way. Yeah, it is a very, very weird kind of situation. And the problem with it is I'm the kind of person that, it affects me. And so when that was happening, it was a really hard period of my year. You know what I mean? And this is just what people do. And the worst thing about it is when you are on the opposite side of it, people don't necessarily come and like try to help you as much. You know what I mean?
It's hard for other people to see that in many cases, right? I mean, as you mentioned, that's something that people just don't often see. Right. I mean, that's happened to me as well. It's probably going to happen to me like tomorrow now.
And see, that's the interesting
thing. That's how it is, right?
There's a lot of people in the chat that like, was it proven that he did it? I mean, he was convicted, right?
I mean, a court fined him for it. Let's move past this.
Right.
This has been established for whenever it was.
Right, exactly.
A year and a half ago?
But
I don't know.
This is the narrative that was able to be established by a lot of this, is that there's still everybody out there going, oh, did he prove it? And there, people have written stuff about it. Obviously, King Hippo was one of the biggest ones that's been kind of doing it. And people have argued with him. They're like, did you read this? And then people will read it and they'll be like, huh. Okay. Like I didn't realize this, there's, and so it's just one of those things.
Again, I mean, we've talked about the incident with Infiltration himself is something we've talked about many times. That's not, I don't want to like redouble efforts against that right now. Mm-hmm. I'm more immediately concerned with the people who see that and identify with it in some way and now need to defend it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's bad.
Yeah.
I don't want those people around.
Okay. All right. Yeah, okay, alright. One of the good things from this year was obviously Lucia for me.
Okay.
Really just kind of helping me re-find my joy for Street Fighter V playing it. Like, I've always liked watching it and stuff like that, but playing it's always been hard for me because Cammy is really, really boring. Yeah. Cammy is really, really, really boring. One of the downsides of...
I have no idea where this is going.
Getting back into Street Fighter V is that the absolute worst thing is the Street Fighter V netcode.
Oh boy, okay. Okay. Oh man, what a roundabout entrance. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I mean, I want to play this game so much.
Yeah.
And I want to do my Learn to Fight content.
Yeah.
But I'm playing
I hear you.
And like I described to people, I'm an emotional player, right? It's hard for me to control my emotions and approach it logically, right? It's not that when I see it, I get mad. It's just that every jolt, because I'm bad at reactions, and so, like I've already said, I can't anti-air because when people jump at me, I get surprised and I block, right? So I have to anticipate the jump to uppercut it, right? Well, every time it teleports is a new burst of to me.
I get it.
Right? And so it's like, the whole time, it's so uncomfortable.
It sucks.
It's so uncomfortable. And the worst thing about it is that's what everybody uses as an argument for rollback netcode being bad. And no, that's just badly implemented rollback netcode. It's badly implemented rollback netcode. It's not rollback netcode's fault. You know what I mean? They can do it right. And it's frustrating that it's still like that at this point in time. And it makes it really hard for me to play the game online. I mean, when I used to play Cammy, I didn't even feel like it was this bad. Like, I feel like it's almost kind of worse now than it was before. I don't know if that's true. But, like, the experience has been harder for me recently. And like I said, I want to play this a lot online. I want to stream myself playing Street Fighter 5 online a lot. But every time I do, I just look at it and I'm just like, I'm playing something else instead. You know what I mean? It's hard. It's hard. So
it sucks. I hope that they fix it, but they probably won't.
Yeah, so that's my number one, unfortunately. So.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate you not going for the super serious stuff. That's good. At least one of us didn't. But, my worst is the sexual assaults and roofing and.
Oh God! How did I forget about that?
Well, I don't know.
Dude, that is totally something I would have put on this list. Well, I totally would have put that on that list, and I think I blocked it out of my head. I really think I did.
Well, I understand if you did. I mean, that was pretty bad. So that was the worst. That was definitely the worst thing of the year. We've talked about that a lot.
Oh, God.
When it was more immediate news. But, of course, some prominent FGC members were basically caught and admitted to doing that, guilty in Crispon. And that's really terrible. To the assault, not to the roofing. And then additionally, there was roofing of people at a couple of events, most especially at EVO. And that is awful. We need to have safer after parties. We need to have I'm sorry, I'm watching Jasmine harass her brother.
Stupid cats.
Yeah, what timing. And look, this is something that we need to work on a lot. It's something that we have needed to work on a lot for a long time, and we still need to do that. It's not over.
Obviously, I feel terrible about those because a lot of the people that it happened to were friends of mine. Yeah. Very, very good friends of mine, too. And so, like, I know one of the sexual assault victims at the club is a really good friend of mine. And, obviously, one of the people in the chat here was a victim of getting roofied by drinking their girlfriend's drink, and stuff like that. And so, oh, God, how...
That's all right, man. You can't think of everything. It's all good. I wouldn't beat yourself up too much about it, but it was definitely a terrible set of news.
I think it's just I was trying to focus. My brain was trying to focus so much on just like the game stuff.
I get it. I'm glad that one of us did that. But
I forgot about a lot of these other stuff. So.
It's all good. It's all good.
That is 100% my bad.
That's the worst thing.
I do feel like that is a huge miss on my part. Okay. I definitely shouldn't. I should definitely mention it. So yeah. I feel bad. So, okay, but that is an awful thing.
That was the worst. That was the worst.
Clearly the worst thing. So, there you go. Okay.
All right. Well, there you go. So that's the worst things of the year, and that's gonna be the end of talking about terrible things. So let's move on to talking about the best player of the year.
The best player of the year. Okay. Interesting.
So you went first last time, which means that now it is my turn, and I will bring up my notes here and tell you that my third place contender, my pick, is Punk.
Punk? Okay.
Punk. Punk.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like he's hard not to pick, just as a body of work throughout the year. Second at the two biggest things of the year, right? That is to say, EVO and Capcom Cup. He won 8 majors. He got to grand finals in 14 majors. He went to 22 events and he only didn't make top 8 3 times. 19 out of 22 times he made top 8. So I don't know. That body of work is hard to beat. Hard to beat. So as far as like most individually dominant players of the year, I think he's right up there in the top category.
Yeah, I know for the recap I talked about it that a lot of me is very sad that Punk didn't win Capcom Cup, because I really want him to take one of those big events, because he's too good. He's too important to not have taken one of those events yet. So hopefully, he'll win one soon. For number 3, I mean, spoilers, I don't have Punk in my list right here because, there's just a lot of people that I just thought were...
There's a lot of great picks
There's a lot of
this year.
great players.
Yeah,
and,
I've already seen people mention some names in the chat that I'm not going to say either.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
There's a lot of really great ones this year, for sure.
For number 3, just because I felt like he created this super interesting story for the whole entire year, was Samurai. Right?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I really just felt like what he did at the Street Fighter League was just such an interesting thing. You know what I mean? To be this unsponsored player, to be so dominant and so powerful for this that whole entire thing. In fact, I feel like he made that whole event. Like, Samurai was one of the main reasons why the Street Fighter League was so entertaining, was because he OCV'd every single team. And in the end, even was able to defeat Punk after Punk, talked massive trash to him and everything like that. And, this is, again, like I said, my number 3 picks a lot of the times are very personal for me.
Okay.
And so Samurai, I've always been a fan of his. I've always thought he's a great player. And so I was just really happy for what he was able to accomplish on Street Fighter League. Obviously, his results in the tournaments probably weren't as strong as he would like it to be. But I just feel like being able to drive a narrative that strongly and everyone being so terrified of him, he was the topic of conversation for that entire year.
No doubt.
So there you go. So that's here.
That's cool.
Yeah. Okay, who's your number 2?
All right, my number 2 won EVO in Mortal Kombat 11, got second at EVO in Dragon Ball FighterZ, never finished worse than second place in MK11 during the entire year, never finished worse than 5th place in Dragon Ball FighterZ for the entire year, still won Skullgirls majors, by the way.
Right.
That's Sonic Fox.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
What can you say about that? I mean, it's absurd.
Yeah.
There it is, though.
Yeah. Look, I mean, it probably seems weird that, even last year I didn't give him any award because first place went to Simple, remember? Last year.
Nice.
But, Sonic Fox, obviously one of the best, one of the absolute best. But for my number 2, I had to acknowledge what IDOM did.
IDOM, okay, wow.
I'd put IDOM as number 2 because... his year started at Combo Breaker. He never not got top 8 in any tournament that he went to. I mean, he basically handicapped himself by going to 4 events or something the whole entire year, and just basically didn't even, like I said, start gaining points until halfway through the season was over, right? Then he got top 8 at EVO, and we're like, oh my god. And everybody knew how good this guy was. Yeah. And everybody was like, man, if he just traveled, he would do some damage. Yeah. But, were people expecting this kind of damage?
0 people picked him to win Capcom Cup. I'm confident of that.
And exactly. And the thing about it is he's using a character that if he wasn't using, that character would be in that level of trash. You know what I mean? People were so down on Laura when she lost her medium kick and all this other stuff. They're like, this character... And then you see IDOM is just cooking everybody, right? And then he goes down 0-2 in Grand Finals, and it was like he is done. But then he comes back and somehow wins it, and it was awesome for me to see, even when he won, to see him jump out of the chair. And all of a sudden, we saw the IDOM emotion. And it was just such a cool thing to see, and I'm so happy for him because he's literally a kid who came out. He didn't travel much because he wanted to focus on school. Yeah. He wanted to do all this stuff.
Doesn't like traveling.
I just feel like his head is in such a good place. And he was doing it because he loves the game. He had that ridiculous win streak.
I watched him get 100 wins in a row.
Dude, that
on CFN.
Ridiculous, dude. Especially, on ranked where you can run into bad matchups and you can easily get robbed.
He definitely ran into bad matchups and he ran into very strong players and he
Right, and he just got a 100-game win streak. Like, that guy, what a year. What a year for this guy, and I'm so happy for him. He can roll around in giant piles of socks now, and he is just... What a story. I'm so happy for him. I mean, there was somebody at Capcom Cup who was so happy for him, started crying and everything. And, like, that's the kind of storyline. No, it was someone else. It was someone. You're talking about Defeat Lee.
Yeah, because when Idom won, Defeat Lee jumped onto the stage.
Yeah, he was on the stage. He was like, yeah!
Just bouncing.
Yeah, exactly.
It was great.
So I was really happy for Idom. I was really happy for Idom. So that's my number 2.
Okay. Idom it is.
Okay, and I'm just going to type in my number 1.
Yes, of course. We've all picked Arslan Ash as the most important player of the year. Yes, of course. I want to give a shout out to MK Leo, who I guess none of us picked, but somebody probably should have, because he had an amazing year in Smash Ultimate, and we just didn't do it. But
another one.
Shout outs to him.
We should probably also give a shout out to Wawa as well, who did really well in a bunch of DBFZ tournaments as well. So definitely want to give him a shout out. But there you go.
Anyway, Arslan Ash, the most important player of the year, again, as we've been mentioning. He made his scene land on the world stage, right? Like, he taught us all that there are very, very strong players in Pakistan, the best players, it turns out.
Right. And if you didn't read that article about him, I didn't even know about all the stories of when him showing up to the Japan airport for Evo Japan. He was stuck there. He couldn't get out of there. He was there for almost 24 hours. He couldn't get money exchanged.
Right.
He wasn't eating. He was starving.
Right.
He was like almost begging for food kind of situation. You know what I mean? Because no one was there to be able to help him out in that kind of situation. Didn't he get DQ'd in the loser's bracket and he won the tournament from the loser's bracket? I don't remember now, but it was just like, it was crazy, the kind of stuff that he had to go through at that tournament.
Yeah.
And then he eventually made it there late and won the tournament after going through that experience. Yep. You know, he wanted to put Pakistan on the map, and it's easier for him to get to Japan than it is to get to America. So he wanted to go to Evo Japan to show his stuff, and he won it, dude. He
did.
Won that tournament, which is the most ridiculous thing.
And then Evo.
Yeah, so someone did say he did get DQ'd in the loser's bracket.
Dang,
so he started in the loser side, basically, and he won. So he didn't lose to a single person in that tournament, dude.
Dang.
He did not, yeah.
I mean, that's
he
incredible.
did not get DQ'd according to Mark Mann.
That's what I thought.
Oh, he lost to somebody. Oh, okay. There you go. And then, of course, he did win Evo.
He did.
And, again, one of the reasons...
Beating me to do it.
Yeah, one of the reasons why I wanted to, highlight Stephanie was because of the photo that she took, and that was just a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
What a moment.
Photo of him kneeling down and praying after winning, yeah.
Kissing the floor, and praying and everything like that. I mean, I just thought that was just so...
remarkable.
So good. It was so good. So, okay. Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, absolutely. Just amazing.
Yeah, very deserving. Most important player of the year.
Yeah. Most important story, esports story of the year. Just period.
Yeah, I mean, the Arslan in Pakistan is the most important competitive video gaming story of the year, for sure.
Absolutely. And thank you to Mark Mann and everybody for clarifying that he did not get DQ'd into losers bracket. So thank you.
All right, so it was Arslan Ash for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
And Arslan Ash, and now we go to the last true yearly award.
Okay. Do we want to take a break before we do this?
Well, we said that we were going to get down to the last five.
Oh, we still have 5 more after this,
right?
Have
to do of the decade as well.
I forgot about the decade stuff. Okay. Yes.
All right. So, fighting game of the year for 2019.
Game of the year.
Now, this can be interpreted in multiple ways. Does it mean the best new game, or the game that you enjoyed the most, or the game that you thought had the best showing? There's any number of ways to interpret it, and I'm sure we will do so. You are slated to go first.
And you can kind of see the theme by... What are you attacking, Jasmine? You can kind of see the theme that I'm going here, where I'm trying to spread the love a little bit more, okay? So my number 3 game right now is going to be Tekken 7. Okay, but I want to clarify here. I have all my past records here, okay?
Notes.
2016, my fighting game of the year, number 1 was Tekken 7.
Okay.
2017, my fighting game of the year was Tekken 7.
Okay.
Okay. And in 2018, my fighting game of the year was Tekken 7. Okay. I was going to give it again this year, and I was just like, God, you know what? I got Nate. I mean, it is. For me, it is the game of the year.
Just say it then. It's fine.
But I feel like I just want to be variety.
I mean,
here.
It's up to you, but if you really think it's the best, then
I want to add some variety here. So I just wanted to give it to something else.
Okay.
And so I put Tekken 7 here as number 3.
Tekken 7.
Look, this game obviously has been killing it. I mean, it has been the biggest thing. You know, best storylines, best commentary, best production, best tour, best everything, right? And that all is on top of the fact that it's a damn good game as well. And, you know, their reveals are great. Harada does a great job with all the stuff. You know, they do so... They kill it. Like, the Tekken community is killing it right now. The Tekken team, the developing team, they just... I mean, obviously... maybe one of the reasons why I put it down is people were mad about the $4 DLC or whatever and all that. Whatever, dude. But like, I love the DLC. I love the punishment training stuff like that. I just, to me, Tekken 7 is just year after year has been the best game. But I just
I'm actually just writing it down as James's number 1 game.
Okay, fine. All right. Go ahead.
Oh boy. All right, so we now know what James's number 1 is. My number 3 is Smash Ultimate.
Okay.
This game blew every other game out of the water when it came to attendance.
Yeah.
Destroyed.
Yes, and it's gonna destroy everybody at EVO Japan.
Destroy. Often 2 to 3 times as many entrants as every other game, and this was in a context of other games getting like 1,000+ entrants in some cases. It was just incredible how much that game got picked up. It wasn't a surprise, of course. The Smash community has been huge, and people went to Smash Ultimate from both the Smash 4 scenes and at least some from the Melee scene as well. So it was going to like funnel into having even more players, and that is indeed what happened. So shoutouts to Smash on that side of thing. But even on top of that, even though it's a game I don't play, the level of love and care for it that the developers have is inspirational. I mean, it's amazing to just watch Sakurai talk about the characters that he's putting in the game.
He talked about it for like half an hour.
Exactly,
dude.
right? Like, again, I'm not competing in this game or commentating, but I just, and I like to watch it, but I'm not serious about it.
Yeah.
But I watched all of that, of him talking about Terry, because the love was just so palpable. Like he himself was great to watch in that. And it's so cool to see games get made like that by people who care so much, so clearly, and did such a great job at importing all these guest characters in there. They're just fantastic versions of themselves.
You know, maybe not everybody wanted Terry in there, but a lot of the times as a developer, you have to make decisions to do what you want.
Right.
And not just listen to the people out there all the time, because that doesn't always result in the best thing, right?
No, what if he got tasked with making some bum character that he didn't care about, right? Instead, he made Terry a character he clearly loves and loves SNK, right? Like, So I thought that was so good.
He shouldn't listen to anybody, but he should put Dirk the Daring and Kunio in the game, so, you know.
Do you think he knows what Dirk the Daring is?
I don't know. That's a good
maybe
question.
He knows about it, sort of just like you know, have heard about it before. But was that in Japan? Do you think when he was?
I don't know. It's a really good question. I don't know. I don't know if
was there like
it had to have been, because it inspired them to turn Lupin the Third into one of those games.
Oh.
So they Lupin the Third, they actually took the movie and spliced it up and re-looped it to the point where, like, the first scene where they're running and jumping over things, you had to hit up jump, and you did the whole thing over.
Is that so?
Yeah. That was
never heard of this. Wow.
It was called Cliffhanger in America. They released it in America called Cliffhanger.
Okay.
And it was the Japanese one, but they literally took that Lupin the Third movie that was done by Miyazaki. And one of Miyazaki's first movies, and they turned it into a Laserdisc game like that.
I've never heard of it. That sounds awesome.
And it doesn't really work too well because they didn't animate it with that in mind, so it was very weird and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool. I gotta look that up.
Yeah, so there you
go.
Now. Okay.
Anyway, so Smash Ultimate is my third. What do you got?
My number 2 is gonna be Samurai Showdown.
Samurai Showdown.
Now, is my.
Is this your number 2 or number 3?
Well, I guess number 3 if you... Yeah, okay. Look, I really enjoyed Samurai Showdown.
Yeah.
You know how much I've loved this game.
Sure.
And I feel like it brought back something to fighting games that most fighting games have been missing a lot recently, which is the complete, absolute, visceral emotion and just the raw, there hasn't been I feel like a lot of fighting games are very much by number now, right? So even as something as I love about Tekken, right? Like I love the zoom ins, I love the slow motion, I love all that stuff. When I sit there and I pick up Leroy and I look at his move, and now that the frame data is on there, it's even more clear to me what every move is for.
Sure.
Right? I'm like, and it has nothing to do, it has very little to do, it's just, this is the frame data for this move. When I play MK11, it's very obvious to me what this string is designed for. This one's the punish string. None of the hits are safe on block. So clearly this is the whiff punish one. It also has the, Street Fighter. Here is my frame trap button and stuff like that. And so when I play these games, I feel like I'm doing what the devs told me to do. I feel like the devs have already told me what these moves are for. Samurai Showdown, someone misses an uppercut, I hit him with the standing C. It's the greatest feeling in the world. It is seriously the greatest feeling in the world when someone jumps at me and I Jubei counter him and I get 40% life for this super risky counter. It's the greatest feeling in the world. And the frame data is not important in this game because it's all about the deflect canceling. So you get the situations where I'm going to throw out this heavy and I'm ping. Look, I'm vulnerable, but I'm not going to do anything because you're scared of my deflect. You're not going to do anything. And then I totally get away with it. Like that stuff to me, that has not been in a fighting game in a long time, I feel like. And it's such a great return to that. I haven't played a fighting game where I've had that kind of emotional attachment and feeling with in a long time, and I love it. I love it, and not only that, but the game is still also, I think, it's very straightforward. It's very simple. Obviously, it's not a very tech-heavy game, although people keep finding new tech in the game. But that also makes it great for people to come in and learn fighting games. My beginner dojos that I've done, Samurai Showdown is always one of the best ones because I can teach them really well. Because when I was trying to do it for Street Fighter, I'm like, well, this character has this plus, and you have to understand this plus, and you have to do this. For Samurai Showdown, I'm like, look, what you gotta do is you want to chase him to the corner. You don't care about this thing. You need to get him nervous about this, and it's such a great game to learn the emotion, the thought process, what you want to do in fighting games, and so that's why I have that in there.
Cool.
So I love the game. I love
that's
the game.
Awesome.
So yeah.
All right, so Sam Show I'm just joking about the order. Do you really want to have it as Tekken first or as third? And Sam Show is second. It's up to you.
Sure, let's just do it that way. Because, like I said,
Tekken third place.
Yeah, Tekken third place, third star. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So there you go.
All right. My second place is Mortal Kombat 11.
Wow, second place.
Second place is Mortal Kombat 11.
Wow, that is a surprise. Okay.
It's my favorite gameplay of the year. My favorite gameplay game of the year. I love the footsies and the characters and the movement and all the I love the little mixes that they put in there. I love flawless blocking. I just think there's so many cool things. The fact that they added a third variation, I think, opens it up a lot. I like all the DLC. I'm having a blast playing it and watching it. I also think it's super cool that they have so much in there for people who aren't just about the competitive side.
Right.
The one-player content on that is awesome. They have raids. I mean, they have boss battles on the towers where you and 2 other people or 3 other people can get together and raid against this boss in fighting games, which is super rare. They had just so much content that's in there. The crypt is great. I've spent way too much time unlocking literally every box in that thing.
Did you really?
I did,
oh
yes.
My god! Okay.
The hardest ones to get were the hearts because you have to get so many fatalities.
You let the computer do that for you.
I definitely let the computer do the AI grinding for sure. So I got everything in there. I love it. It's also the most disgusting game that I've ever played, at least seriously. So the reason that I didn't give it first place is the gore. It's too much. It's too much.
Some of the stuff that they're doing now is
and it's unavoidable. It's not like it's just in fatalities where maybe you'll see it at the end, maybe not. It's in the gameplay with crushing blows. A mechanic I love, but I also don't want to see somebody's femur break constantly.
You just don't want to see Cassie Cage shoot Johnny Cage in the head.
It's too much for me. It's just too much for me. So it's clearly not too much for me that I'm not playing the game, because I love the gameplay.
Yeah.
But I just wish it was a little less wild.
Yeah.
On that front.
I agree with that.
That's my only complaint, and it's a big enough complaint that it's number 2.
Dang. Okay. So, I'm just gonna...
Great online play. I mean, literally everything else is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
They put in crossplay recently. I mean, they're so good in everything.
Right, yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
let's move on.
So my number 1 this year, it's going to be an interesting one for people, I think.
Okay.
I put Street Fighter V
Wow, me too.
as my number 1 game. That's actually my number 1 game. And as much as I think a lot of people are going to be like, well, of course it is, James, you're biased or whatever like that, right? Go to 2018. It's not in any of my top 3.
Yeah.
If you go into my 2017, it's not in my top 3. Not only that, but third place was a question mark. That year, I put nothing in third place because I didn't feel like anything deserved it.
That is hilarious.
Right? And then in 2016, it was in third place. That was in its inaugural year. And I remember it was a very begrudging one.
Dang.
Because it was important enough because it had the 5,000 entrants and stuff like that. But the launch was so bad that I really begrudgingly put it in there. So I have never had Street Fighter V in my list as me actually being like, yay, Street Fighter V.
Okay, I just did my own research, and in 2016 I had it at third place, and my quote here is, the subsection of Street Fighter V where you're in a match playing against other persons offline, not the part before that or the part between the games where you have to give a thumbs up, or playing online, but the actual gameplay.
Yep.
That was my word.
Yep.
And then I didn't have it for 2017 at all.
Right.
And then I had it as second place in 2018.
Right.
And now for 2019, it's my number 1.
Yep. And I think we're both kind of in very much the same position. It has really found its identity.
What a redemption arc,
And it's
I have to say.
really gotten to the point where it is so fun to watch. And, you know, I know that this season has the potential to be probably one of the best because of the crazy V skills.
Yes.
But it feels like this is the version that should have came out.
Oh, can you imagine?
Right? Like,
Can
I
you
feel like
honestly
this
imagine?
was the version that should have came out. And when it came out, then the V skills would have been the first update.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, that to me, like I said, I can't even tell you how much I enjoyed playing Lucia. Like, I never thought that a Street Fighter character would have that much depth in me being just like, okay, in this situation, I need to do this combo path and that combo. Here's this setup. Here's that setup. And oh my God, and like, I've been watching like Shine stream a bunch. I've been watching the stuff that he's been doing with this character. And it's just like, every time I see these Lucia plays, they keep doing stuff that I hadn't thought of. And I'm like, that's so sick, you know, and things like that. And I just really feel like the game has just gotten to the point where it is, the character variety is good. Season 4 characters like Poison and Honda are so interesting. I'm Kage, you know, but you know,
not my favorite, but I can definitely see why people like it.
Yeah. But I mean, it's going to be more interesting now that he's significant.
He's good now.
Yeah. But I mean, even previous year, I felt like everyone in season 3, even towards the end of season 2, like when Manat and Zeku were there, I thought they were.
Yeah,
really
once Abigail came out.
Abigail came out with the trailer, which I had listed as one of the worst of the years.
Did you? That's awesome.
Yeah, because the reveal was so terrible.
It was.
And he has turned into one of my favorite characters in the game. I hate fighting him. I just mean like personality wise and like what he does. I don't ever want to fight the character, but he's such a cool character, and I really, really enjoy the game right now. And I have had a newfound love for the game. And, you know, I thought I was going to be able to explain this first before I got to the worst of the year, but we changed the order of things.
Gotcha.
But, you know, that's why the Street Fighter netcode thing was weighing so heavily on my mind, is because I want to enjoy this game. I want to play it, but I can't.
Yeah, I definitely understand.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, the game is really great gameplay. For sure.
So,
I mean, even all the new characters look good. Like, they just, it's not just the gameplay, which is the most important.
We don't have
thing.
another Sakura at this point right now.
No, it's been a while. Yeah, even Kage, I think his horns are kind of dumb looking, but like, he's animated fine.
The character design is off, right? It's not the animations. So.
Yeah. And some people like that anyway, right? It's not for me, but they like the horns.
Like, I've seen a lot of people even say this. Like, I saw someone who's normally one of the biggest haters on the planet. They were like, I gave Street Fighter V another chance recently. I actually like it now.
Yeah, I've heard many people say that.
They're like, it's actually really good now.
Yeah,
you know, and like,
for sure.
I haven't played it in a long time, and it's really good now. You know, like I hear that a lot at this point in time.
I've heard that as well.
There you go. So it's actually kind of crazy.
Shout out to Street Fighter, man. Again, what a redemption arc.
Yeah, I think I'm really happy for it. I'm really happy for it. And again, that's not saying that we're going to ignore the rootkits and the
we
bad
crapped on it
launch.
for years.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like, I mean, look, you actually made me excited for Seth. Like, that is ridiculous already, right? You made it so that I saw Seth and I was like,
yep. 100%, yep.
Huh. Because that was the prevailing rumor that it was going to be Seth, and I was so mad.
Definitely.
Like, I spent the whole entire time going like, give me Sodom, please.
Right,
like,
yeah.
Not give me
Seth,
anybody,
right? Somebody
but
new.
Anybody but Seth. And then Seth, they even used that joke idea that I had about stealing moves from people.
Did you see the V-Skill absorbing thing that they put out today?
No.
They put out a couple new clips, and one of them is of when you V-Skill absorb from Menat, and he takes the orb. And you can put the orb out and recall the orb. You just use the orb. Like, they're going hard on this mechanic. It's not a little bit. You didn't get, like, her anti-air grab or whatever. You get the good stuff. It's going to be actually cool.
That is ridiculous.
It's going to be actually cool.
He's the character who fixes all bad matchups by stealing something that he needs in that matchup. That's crazy, dude.
It's a cool
That's
thing.
crazy.
For sure.
Okay. Good stuff.
All right. Well, look. That's it for our regular awards for 2019. We have two other categories, which are Random Select, which is where we talk about whatever, and our own resolutions. And we're also going to talk about the Player of the Decade, Fighting Game of the Decade, and Story of the Decade. But let's take a little break first, and we'll come back and then do those.
Okay. Be right back, guys.
All right.
Yeah, isn't it the weirdest thing that Seth is actually just Dimitri? They just turned him into Dimitri. It's like the weirdest thing. He's got the. I mean, it's not like they're even trying to like mask it, because it's called Demon Cradle. That's what Dimitri's uppercut is called. It's called a Demon Cradle, and then they just called it Mad Cradle. Seth's move uppercut is called Mad Cradle, and then Dimitri has the Bat Drill, and then they just called it the Mad Drill. They didn't even bother like hiding it. They just made Seth Dimitri. And then when he activates the V-trigger, he turns into Makoto. He gets Makoto's air axe kick and the uppercut punch. It's really kind of interesting. Dude, I loved Chris G in UMVC3 Meta Skipper. You're not the only one, dude. I really, really loved watching Chris G play in that thing, because as much as the Mora Doom stuff was really annoying to fight against and sometimes hard to watch because of how dominant it was, but also at the same time, though, he didn't, like, you see, I watched everybody else try to imitate it and they couldn't do it. It wasn't just so simple of spamming Fireball. Like, people think it's just like some brain dead Fireball fly, Fireball unfly, Fireball fly, Fireball unfly, and it was like super easy to do. But it actually wasn't. Because when you saw other people do it, it wouldn't work. Like, so Chris G was definitely very unique amongst that with a couple of other people. There was a couple of others who also got into it, got it really well as well. But I just felt like it wasn't as brain dead as a lot of people thought. Including, I mean, it's the same thing with Injustice 2 zoning, right? Everyone always thinks that you just sit back there and shoot guns all day and it's easy. Then you try the zoning yourself and you find everybody's just rolling in at you and doing all sorts of stuff. And you're like, why doesn't this work? So, you know, zoning is just one of those things that it's hard to watch. And when it's effective, it looks like the person is spamming and doing things thoughtlessly. And that's why people don't like it. So, yeah. Yeah, I was talking about Mora Doom earlier. Mora Doom. Dude, Ryan LV Morgan Chun, I miss that, dude. His Chun-Li was so good to watch, dude. His Chun-Li was so good. Okay. How was the cheese, David? Ask somebody.
Oh, I had brie from Ralph's, and I had cheddar from Tillamook or something. It's like not the highest quality stuff, but it was all right, yeah. Okay. I got a few more crackers and some nuts here and half an apple, but we're also ready to come back.
All right, you ready?
Let me take a big bite. Okay.
You know, I'm just gonna have to say, like, crunching into an apple is one of the greatest sound effects ever. I love it. I don't know why it just sounds so good every time.
It is good. All right, welcome back to Tuesday's show. Again, this is the UltraChen Awards, and we're done with the regular year, right, in terms of the actual awards that we're giving out. But we have a few more things to say, including our next category, which will be the random select for 2019.
Yeah. I mean, last year, one of the things that I kept talking about... Oh, wait, who goes first on this one? You go first.
I go first, actually.
Never mind, I'm going to shut up.
Okay, all right. Quit it, buddy.
Random Select Award, right? Okay.
All right.
Go ahead and start talking while I'm typing this all in here. So.
Okay, sure. So my Random Select Award for 2019 goes to Ultra David.
For the split box?
Last year when we were doing our FGC Resolutions, I said 3 things. I said I wanted to continue physical therapy so I could play more. Mm-hmm. I wanted to go to locals. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to stream. And I did all 3 of those things. I've actually been doing enough physical therapy that I've been able to go to locals and play and enter. And if it's not too late, I'm going to go do that tonight. We'll see how it turns out. We might not be able to.
Right.
But my intention is to go there again tonight and play. And I've been doing a lot of work, honestly. Every day I'm doing physical therapy stuff. I'm doing massage stuff on myself, or I'm going to physical therapy, or I'm doing exercises or working out. And that's been a lot. It's been not easy. And I'm really happy that I've done it. Okay. It wasn't something that I even thought about 2 years ago. A year and a half ago, it wasn't even in my mind that it was a possibility for me to be able to not be in constant pain. Mm-hmm. You know, my wife told me the other day, she was like, hey, I feel like I've been tossing and turning a lot in my sleep lately. Is that true? And I was like, well, I don't know, not really. And I was like, but that's, you know, I always am. And she's like, you haven't really been tossing and turning in your sleep. And I was like, what do you mean I'm doing that constantly? And she was like, no, like really you haven't been. And what I realized is that I'm no longer in constant pain. And
you're like not uncomfortable the entire time.
It used to be that I could not sleep for more than 10, 15 minutes before I'd have to move positions. Right. I never got a good night's sleep. And now I can actually sleep without constantly moving. It's like I've done a lot of work and I'm happy about that. And I told myself that I would like enjoy when I feel like I've made milestones happen, and it's been a good year that I actually did the resolutions that I wanted to do.
Okay.
Shout outs to me.
So Ultra David
for your third place.
Okay. Well, my third place award is jchensor.
Okay.
Giving up so many games. I talked about this last year. This was a big topic of mine of how there's just too many video games, too many fighting games out there. And I had this as one of the worst things, but like I just have to talk about it. It's so hard because this year I've had to give up so many games. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed Soul Calibur 6.
Yes.
And I just don't play it anymore.
Well, same.
I really enjoyed BB Tac.
100%.
I just don't play it anymore.
Same.
I really loved Unist, and I've never played the game.
Oh, jeez.
Right? I've never played it. I've literally only done like the tutorial, the trials for Nanase. That's all I've ever done for it, right? I watched it a lot, but I've never played it. I stopped playing Guilty Gear Xrd.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I just fallen away from so many games. It's such a tough time. And
well, like you've been playing a lot of games.
I've been playing so many games.
Yeah.
I've been playing so much Samurai Showdown and Tekken.
Yeah.
I had Techtober where I played Tekken like 1,000 times. I got to red ranks in Tekken. I never thought I would get that high, and I did. I actually made it too. I played a bunch in Uniel. Dude,
in Uniel, we both played a lot of Uniel.
I still remember that I got to second place at one of the runbacks. I beat Paul B to get second place, and then Breaker Dave destroyed me. But I mean, Paul B and Breaker Dave are like two of the best people in Uniel, even to this day, right? Not Paul B, sorry. What was his name? It was initials. Shoot, what's the name? The other guy that was always playing. Oh, God. It's not LPN. Shoot, I got out the letters. Please, somebody help me here. No, I'm totally messed this up. I'm so sorry. But
I was like, I didn't know Paul B played like that.
He's the Byakuya player. I'm the
Paul's
worst.
probably in this chat.
I'm the
He has
worst. I am the worst. This is what I mean by names and me. I have no recall for names. Shoot. Ah, God, I'm so mad. Anyways.
Well, you beat some scrub to get second place.
Yeah, and so I did really well in that game at that point. And so when Eunice came out, Nanase was very good.
Mm-hmm.
She's one of the strongest characters, and I never actually got to play, and it made me really sad. It made me really, really sad. So LPT, thank you. LPT is who it is. Thank you. Yeah, I said LPN. That was the closest one right there. Okay, so LPT. Yes, there you go. Okay. Yeah, but there you go. So that's who. So yeah, that's my random select award. Is that it's painful shaving off these games and not playing them, and it's so tough, dude.
You gotta pick and choose.
Yeah. Okay.
I have picked and chosen SF and MK basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, it'd be great. My third and fourth would definitely be Caliber and BB Tag.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just not playing them. Yeah. Just,
Yeah.
You know, gotta prioritize. All right, my second place.
Yep.
All right, my second place is one you kind of addressed already, which is Families Started.
Oh, okay, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Over this past year, there have been a lot of players who have gotten engaged or married or had children. Mm-hmm. It's not the first time. People have been doing those things since the 90s, but like I feel like this year there's been a lot of that. And in particular, people who I know well and sort of like have been in a friend group with for like 10 plus 15 years. And so I don't know, it feels like it hits home a little bit more maybe.
Yeah.
It's really what it is.
Sure.
Just that it happens to hit home more with people who I personally know. And that's been super cool. Shouts to everybody who's been doing that stuff. Boy, I don't know how any of you streamed your wedding. That sounds awful, but you did that, and that's cool. You know, I hope you enjoyed it.
Right.
But yeah, congrats on all of the big milestones in life.
Yeah,
That's super
yeah,
cool news.
yeah.
Super cool.
James Chen.
I didn't even watch, honestly. I couldn't do it. It felt like it was like stealing in on a personal moment.
It's just weird. It is.
Hey,
weird.
I mean, if they were happy to do it, then that's their wedding.
Here's the thing, though. I actually, honestly think it's going to become a normal thing, because Level Up has streamed weddings before.
Have they? Okay.
They've just streamed. They were just hired to stream a wedding.
Oh, is that so?
It had nothing to do with the fighting game community. It was just they wanted their wedding streamed for the people who couldn't make it.
Oh, wow, okay.
For family members. I do think that wedding streams are going to become a regular thing for people who can't travel to them.
I guess that makes sense.
So I don't think it's going to be as weird in the
Okay.
future. I do think it's going to be a thing. Yeah.
That seems possible. Yeah. Okay.
My number 2 thing, random select award, is I just have to give a shout out to this, is that Street Fighter League didn't suck.
Okay, I like it.
I was entertained. The
Yeah.
bands actually kind of worked out for Samurai for that story, you
Yeah,
know?
that's true.
And dude, would Idom have won if he didn't get banned all the time? He picked up a second character because of Street Fighter League. Right?
I don't know, I guess.
Look,
It didn't suck.
I was
highly
skeptical as anybody else was about it. The bands, I heard about it, I was like, this is going to be not good. But I'll tell you what, though. The players, they shined.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything extra to make them shine. My favorite story is when Dual Kevin and Rob TV started popping off at each other, that one of the producers on the corner started crying.
I heard.
Because they weren't sure what was going on. They didn't realize that this was just the way that it went. You know, like the person was terrified. Like, what is happening? And Rob and Dual Kevin are just great friends and everything like that. You know, the personalities were great. Vicious and Steve were amazing.
Great.
Ringe was great on there as well.
That's right.
Rip was fantastic on there. Like I said, I thought Rip did an amazing job there. And the storylines that came out of it were so cool.
Yes.
You know, and I really feel like a lot of very important friendships came out of that thing too. Rob TV now lives in Florida with Knuckle Dude.
That's right.
He just moved in with Knuckle Dude now. Because when you're at events, you see Shine and Rob TV cheering for Knuckle Dude and like all the tournaments, and Knuckle Dude's cheering for them. It's like I really liked what came out of it. Like I'm really surprisingly like happy with how it went. So there you go.
Look, I agree with you. I thought that it was going to be bad news, and it was a lot of fun to watch, and the players did great, and I agree with the commentary was great, for sure.
I thought the whole thing was done really well. I really liked it. I was surprised at how earnest and how genuine it was.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Right, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that was my concern as well. I felt like it would be contrived, maybe.
Yeah, I didn't feel like they...
esportsy.
I thought they were going to pump in all this like esportsy kind of things to it, but it felt very good. And a lot of it, like I said, really does go to Rip for his amazing hosting and interviewing. Because, like, you know, he was... Like, when he interviewed Justin Wong, he was like, tell me about your tier list. They suck. Whatever. He didn't even let him answer. Yeah. Like, we didn't... It wasn't like it wasn't esportsy. It was still just a bunch of guys having fun. So there you go. Sure. I was actually really surprised by that. So that's my number 2.
Nerd Josh is glad to hear that a Street Fighter reality show worked. Shouts to Josh.
Oh my god, the fact that it's Josh who said that is hilarious.
That's genius.
Okay.
All right. We didn't end up doing a worst of the decade category, so you're lucky.
Yeah.
All right. Well, other downer news. My number 1 is Friends Lost.
Oh, yes, of course.
Shiza passed away.
That's right. I actually wanted to mention that in the worst category.
Yeah,
right?
I was thinking about that.
But the thing about it is there was a lot of people who have passed away that we didn't put in there. And obviously for us, it's a particular thing because Shiza was close to us.
Yeah.
I'm glad you put it down here for everybody.
Yeah, right.
For everybody.
So the one I knew was Shiza, but I knew of several other people in the FGC across the year. I can remember Crucial B, for example, passing away. Yeah. I know that more people did too. If you remember in the chat, I was trying to look it up and I couldn't find, but I know that there were more than that. In Control passed away, a guy who I really liked in StarCraft as well. That was a big bummer for me.
That's right. Blood Talon passed away. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a tough year in that way. So that's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. But I thought that was something that we needed to mention. And,
yeah, for sure.
Shout outs to the friends and family of people who are still moving on.
Yeah. What was Dangief this year?
Dangief passed away?
I didn't know about that. I don't think I heard about that.
I'm not sure I knew about that one.
Shoot. Okay. Oh. Okay. All right.
Jeez. Sorry to hear about that. Yeah. Rest in peace to everybody. That's tough.
So, my random select, because random select is always just kind of silly and kind of goofy and everything like that. Yeah. It's hard to transition to this, but
hey, do it.
But my random select was my foray into. Oops, hang on a second. I messed this up. My foray into CCGs. And finding out what that's all about.
Okay.
With Teppen, actually. I have never played CCGs before.
Right.
I went in with a fighting game mentality, like people were like, there's like 4 good decks. I'm like, man, the balance is terrible. They're
right.
Like, that's actually really good, James. Yeah. It's like really, really good. So I've been hooked on Teppen. I've been playing a lot. They just came out with an update last night. Mm-hmm. They just added the wild. I mean, like some of these cards, I looked at this and I'm like, there's no way you put this card in the game. So
I looked at them,
really
but I didn't play for the last month and a half, so I don't really know the context of them. But they definitely sound pretty wild. For sure.
There's some that are really crazy. But it's actually shocking to me. And as much as... And it's funny, too, because I like to talk about my frustrations with things on Twitter. So when I talk about Tekken, I talk about my frustrations. I talk about Street Fighter that way, and CCG, and Teppen's that way, too. I make it to champion rank every season in Teppen. I'm there every time. I'm always in the 1600 to 1700 into like just basically sit there.
Nice.
And like once you get into 1800, that's when you start getting into like the place you actually see yourself place. I got to like 1750 or whatever like that, but I only talk about the times that I lose because it's the salt. It's the James Chen salt, right? So I'm actually doing really fine in the game, but it's just
a huge player base of that game too. By the way, that's
and
nice work.
It's surprisingly very interesting and fun, and
I agree.
The mechanics that they're doing in there's just a lot of interesting strategies in there, and they come up with a lot of creative stuff. And I'm really surprised at how much I enjoyed it because, I've often said that I wouldn't ever commentate other genres outside of fighting games, right? Unless it's something that I really love. Right? Yeah. And so Tetris, obviously, is something... And by the way, that was something I kind of want to put that on here, too, is that I've been on TV. That one broadcast has been on TV 3 times this year already.
Sick.
So it's actually pretty cool. I'm really happy about that. But, because Teppen is more, has the fighting game characters, Capcom stuff, I thought it would be more appropriate. But I just like I want to commentate Teppen stuff now. I watched the World Championships that were in Japan.
Yes, me too.
That was a horrible chopstick, and Justin
did a good job on commentary.
Justin did a really good job. He did a really. Justin is obviously very good on commentary.
He is.
He's always been good at commentary. So
I'm not sure I agree with that, but I do think he's been good for the past.
Later. Yeah.
He's gotten good.
Later. Yeah. So I was just really, I'm excited that, the fact that it's cut into a lot of my FFRK time is pretty telling. So I will definitely be streaming a lot of Teppen this month, and as well as FFRK. I'm going to be trying to stream a lot of my mobile stuff this year. So for night streams.
Nice.
So yeah, here you go.
Very good. Yeah, it's a good game. I really like it too.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's it for 2019. 2019 over, in the past. But so is the rest of the decade. Let's talk about that.
We lost a decade.
An entire decade.
Do you remember?
Gone.
Can you imagine it was 20 years ago we were worried about Y2K?
More than 20 years ago now.
Well, no, it's exactly 20 years, right?
Well, now it's beyond the 20 years ago Y2K, right? Because it's 2020 already.
Okay, well...
We were worried about it in 1999.
Well, when we transitioned to 2000, which was exactly... Anyways, okay. Let's go. You want to do player first, then, or...
Yeah, sure, let's do... I'm just being contrarian for no reason.
Yeah, I know.
Player of the decade. Sure. This is tough. Player of the decade.
People are not going to agree with my choices, but...
There's no way to get this right.
No.
I just want to point this out. There's no way to get this right. There were just so many good players. I had a list of about half a dozen that sprung to my mind, and I ended up choosing the list from that. But then I did a bunch more research, and I've rearranged my listed ones, and I spent a lot of time on this, to be honest.
Yeah, I do appreciate only Bernie beats Akuma's comment in there is that I'm angry no matter what they pick. That is probably the best way to just come into this. To
probably
be honest
so.
With you, yeah.
Yes.
You know what the funny thing is? Only Bernie beats Akuma has showed up in our chat recently, and Kamala is a cop has disappeared. I feel like,
you sleuthed it up for sure.
I'm wondering if that's the same guy.
For
and now
sure.
that Kamala is like, he doesn't need it anymore.
You sleuthed it up for sure.
Yeah, I'm
This
wondering.
is right. This is right.
Did I crack
100%.
the code? Did I crack
100%.
the code? I need to
Be
know.
honest. Be honest out there. You got it! Oh, oh boy! That was so sick! What a call!
I had a feeling.
That's the analytical mind that's great on commentary right there.
There you go.
Beautiful.
There you go. Okay. Anyways. All right. Who's your number 3 player of the decade?
Genius.
Oh man.
All right. My third greatest player
of the decade
of the 2010s. Between 2010 and 2019 was Kazunoko.
Okay. I like it.
All right, here's the stats because I spent a lot of time looking up the stats.
Okay.
Won Capcom Cup in SF4. Wow, this is gonna need too many fingers for that, so let's give that up. 1 Capcom Cup in SF4, 6 EVO Top 8s in SFXT, Guilty Gear, SF5, Dragon Ball FighterZ, BB Tag, and Sam Show. 1 Majors in Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5, Guilty Gear, Dragon Ball FighterZ, BB Tag, and got Top 8s in Marvel 3 and Marvel Infinite. So the way that I'm approaching this is not as like who dominated one single game the most. It's the multi-game players that I'm most concerned with here. Not people who are like specialists, but people who had the biggest impact on the FGC like as a whole, like the biggest fighting game impact as a player.
Yeah.
So who did the best in the most games, basically.
Right. Okay.
Kazunoko number 3.
Okay. I wasn't necessarily going for accolades. I was going for effect on the community and accolades.
Okay, sure.
Obviously, both of them in there. Like I said, this one might be a little weird for people, but my number 3 is actually Justin Wong.
Okay.
And it was kind of solidified by Bavo, the SRK rankings guy, put out a little graphic that showed the players' rankings through the last decade. And Justin Wong started with just like the biggest bar, and he was up there forever. And he did not go down until more towards Street Fighter V when that came out. Now, at that point in time, I don't think he was concentrating as hard on it, and I don't think Street Fighter V was necessarily the game for him at first.
I think you're right.
Until Manat showed up, and then he made top 8 at Capcom Cup, right? But here's the thing. He also won EVO.
He did.
He won EVO in Marvel, right? He was a dominant force in Marvel, and he's just always been a representative of our community no matter what. No matter how you look at it, Justin Wong is one of the most important people of our community.
For sure.
And he did most of his work in a lot of that time. Because, he won all those Marvel 2 tournaments back in the day, but there weren't streams. We can't find all that stuff. It's hard. You got to go talk to Preppy, get all of his footage and stuff like that. But in terms of, 2009, obviously not in this decade, but him and Daigo grand finals, and then, putting his name on there, and then beating Daigo in Street Fighter V in one of the later years at EVO and stuff like that. And then, like I said, barrel roll EVO winning MVC3 and everything like that. I still think, in terms of just importance,
that's great pick.
Justin Wong is one of the most important people in our community. So
and I would say that he's done a lot of great community stuff too, right? He's flown people around to tournaments. You were mentioning earlier
the
E5
pass stuff.
Even in addition to that, that's something he's been doing for quite some years. He's been doing content nicely over the last year as well. Like, he really is in everything.
And he changed up a lot of what he was, because when he was on the East Coast, people thought he was a cocky jerk and everything like that. When he first moved in with me, I was like, I don't know if I...
that was 09 he moved in with
you?
you?
It was around then, And then he came out, and it turned out that he was just the nicest guy,
Super nice.
And, he played Rufus because he wanted to not be a turtle anymore and everything. Then he went to Manat. Well, so,
he should have done.
He should have. No, but again... just really, really, really great kind of situation.
It's a great pick.
So there you go. That's my number 3.
Okay.
What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Tokido.
Okay, there you go. Tokido.
1 EVO in Street Fighter V. EVO Top 8s in Blaze Blue, Street Fighter Cross Tekken, King of Fighters, Street Fighter 4, and Street Fighter 5. 1 events. This is a list. 1 events in Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, KOF 13, Street Fighter Cross Tekken, Tekken Tag Tournament 2, Third Strike, Dead or Alive, Persona 4 Arena, Soul Calibur 5, and Tekken 6. That all happened in the past decade, yes. That is
one of the evos that I saw him with the medals around his neck, and I just looked at him, and I was like, really, Tokido?
Yep. Because when I first was thinking about the players who were on this list, he was definitely like in that initial list.
Yeah.
But my thought was like, well, I don't know, I can do somebody who's just basically been winning Street Fighter over the past several years, And then I was like, okay, let me do the actual research on this. And there's actually a Wikipedia page for Tokido.
Of course there is.
And on that Wikipedia page, it has a complete list of all of his placings. It is incredibly long. Somebody did amazing research, honestly.
Okay.
On that, and you can sort it by the placing he got, the year it happened, the game it is, the publisher. Like, it's incredible.
Right.
The research on this. Okay. So if you go there and just keep scrolling down on your scroll wheel for however long it'll take, I mean, he in so many different games had such a huge impact.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I kind of felt the same way. I was like, oh, he's been winning lately in Street Fighter V. And the thing about it is, for me, he's one of the greatest players of all time because of stuff that he did even in the previous decade.
For sure.
So, weirdly enough, I don't have him on my list because I feel like he's more than just a decade.
Well, he is, for sure.
Yeah, I know. So it's weird. My logic doesn't make any sense.
That's okay. It's your bliss.
Everyone's going to be mad, like I said, ahead of time. Oh God, someone went to go look at his wiki page.
I'm telling you, right?
My number 2 is Daigo Umehara.
Okay, sure.
Okay, Daigo Umehara. Sure, he won the first Street Fighter 4 in 2009 like Justin Wong. But again, if Justin Wong and Daigo, those two guys right there, coming back in 2009, didn't set the precedent for everything that happened in this decade, I'm a monkey's uncle, basically, because that grand final set the stage for everything that was going to happen afterwards. Because for the people who weren't there, the difference between EVO 2008 and EVO 2009 was like night and day.
Right.
And then they were the driving force for so long afterwards. Daigo was the original legend. And people talk about this all the time. Never meet your legend, or the legend. There's always those movies out there that try to debunk the legend myth. That the legend comes out and they're actually not that great,
right,
and they're crotchety and they're weird and everything, and somehow it was just a misconstrued message or whatever. Daigo was a legend. And he legit held up to it, right? He won 2 EVOs back-to-back with Street Fighter 4. Yeah. He never fell out of, prominence. And then he was an icon in Japan. What he did for esports in Japan, he was, obviously was a representative for ramen. He had a book. He had all these things, happen. His stream has been amazing.
Yes.
He has the CYG Beast team now, which has been helping guys like Infectious and all these other players, travel the world and everything like that. Daigo's stamp in this last decade, even though maybe necessarily in Street Fighter V his results haven't been like Daigo-esque, which is the standards that we hold him to, you know what I mean? But his impact on the scene, and what did it take? It took for Daigo to learn the hitbox for make everybody go, oh, maybe I should use the hitbox. Right. It wasn't Ultra David and James Chen who got everybody to use the hitbox, okay? It was Daigo Umehara, right? And he's the one who stood there. He's also the one that started to learn how to open his personality more and do all this stuff. Daigo Umehara, I think, is one of the most important players of the decade.
I think that's a great way to put it. Yeah, if you're just talking about which ones are the most important from sort of getting eyes on the community perspective, great.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. Hey, dude, you hitbox hipsters in there, you guys absolutely deserve credit for knowing a good thing when you saw it right away.
100%, yeah.
So, yeah. And I think I know who your number 1 is going to be.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah,
my number 1 is a player who started playing and started traveling in 2014, and whose first result was 5th place, and then got 4th place, and then got 2nd place, and then I think the order was maybe like a 4th place after that, and then got 1st place, and then didn't lose in Injustice 1 for a year and a half. That was literally their first year competing, so it's Sonic Fox. And then the rest of the time for Sonic Fox has won 5 EVOs in MK9, Injustice 1, MKX, MK11, Injustice 2, and Dragon Ball FighterZ. By the way, also got Grand Finals again in Dragon Ball FighterZ this year.
Yeah.
In addition, has won majors in Skullgirls and Marvel Infinite, got top 8s in SF5, DOA, KI, and BB Tag. And again, did all of that in the second half of this decade.
Beat everybody in MVCI.
Yeah.
Remember? Yeah. So, did you say MVCI?
I did say MVCI.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah,
okay,
they won MVCI and Skullgirls tournaments.
Yeah.
Well, CEO, I think, is what they won.
I mean, look, for me, when you talk about fighting game players, right, the legends are, there's an order of it, right? There's always Tomo Ohira first for me. Okay. Mike Watson, right? Then Alex Valle. And then Justin Wong, right? Since Justin Wong, it's been kind of blurrier at this point. Like post him, maybe Tokido is probably kind of in there at this point in time. But Sonic Fox is clearly the person who has shown up and is taking that throne. There's always been one person who's been kind of taking that throne, and Sonic Fox is clearly that player, and he's my number one as well. He is basically the future of the FGC, and this is his decade. This is his coming out party right here. They. I didn't realize what you were saying. I thought you were saying
Oh.
I thought you were saying yeah. Okay, my bad. This was basically their FGC coming out party. It's gonna take me a while to get used to that.
I hear you.
It's gonna take me a while to get used to that. So, but
it's important to try.
It's crazy how good he is at fighting games. They are at fighting games. Sorry. It's gonna take me a while. It took me a while with other players as well.
I know.
But it's crazy how good they are at fighting games.
I mean, like Fox has been playing. So Fox also has a Wikipedia page. It turns out.
Of course, yeah.
And it says in there, I didn't know this, that they started playing at the age of 3. And I'd always suspected that like it was probably like Sonic Fox and Quiggle, and they're just like training up, right? Like that's was always like my suspected origin story. Like Fox played 100,000 hours of it, right, or whatever is absurd number. I didn't think about starting at age 3, but there you go. I mean, so since 3, and like I said, in 2014, when Fox was probably like 14 or 15 or something, like that was like they were already the best player in the world in at least one game, and was already winning Skullgirls tournaments that year, and it's just never looked back.
If you're playing fighting games when you were 3 years old, I mean, the stuff that you learn when you're in 2 or 3 is so ingrained, and you pick up on weird, subtle things better than anyone else. I think one of my favorite stories was one of my friends who used to work with me had a I forgot if it was his daughter or if it was his son. When they were really young, they were playing World of Goo, and they would sit there and play and build a structure. And when his kid was like 3 years old or something, it was either, I can't remember if it was the daughter or the son. They would sit there and all of a sudden just start going and he was like, "What's wrong?" And then all of a sudden the structure would just collapse, and he just had no idea. And he was like, "What?"
The kid knew.
Yeah, the kid knew because they were just watching it a lot. Right. You know what I mean? You just pick up on these weird, subtle things. And Sonic Fox has been doing that with fighting games, understanding how to play mind games against a world-class player in his older brother, you know, in their older brother for so long. And so, you know, the stuff that they have picked up, this is one of the first people that we've ever seen born into an environment of fighting games. You know, which is why everybody was like, oh, if he picks up if they pick up Tekken or Street Fighter, they're not gonna, dude, they're gonna kill everybody.
I actually just can't believe that anybody says that. It's so stupid.
They're gonna kill everybody.
I feel like you have to be so myopic to think that. Like, that you just have to have, like, an unreasonable belief in, like, your favorite game's scene. Because they've killed everybody in every other scene. If you're winning Dragon Ball FighterZ, when it was the most entered game of the entire year, and all of the gods of anime games are playing it, all of the gods of Marvel are playing it, and you're the one who comes out on top?
I know, right? Like, where is
you're pretty good at fighting games. Why not do that with every other fighting game, right? What would stop you? I mean, by the way, they got top 8 at final round for the first Street Fighter V
tournament
premiere, right?
It's just you just have to have the character that interests them, right? Yeah. And now Sonic Fox is obsessed with Gil.
Right, so Fox is playing SF5. I don't know if they'll keep that up, but I don't even think it matters, to be honest. There's already so much domination in so many other games, clearly demonstrated that they have the ability to win any game. It's obvious. You have to, I feel like, purposely misunderstand the situation.
Sonic Fox beat F-Champ in the first of 10.
Yes!
I, like, embarrassed him.
Blew him up. F-Champ, who was considered one of the best players in Marvel of all time, and had the game. He had the game and knew how to practice and play and everything. And then in the first month, Fox was just like, I'm already the best. Like, come on. It's so silly.
Oh, man.
Anyway, so very obviously Fox is one of the best players of all time. Now, this is of the past decade. I would still say that I think Tokido is the greatest player of all time.
Yes, same here.
For me, Tokido is still number one. Yeah, because in the previous decade, I probably would have also said Tokido. Right? So, like, for the past 2 decades of Tokido's playing, like, it's probably Tokido. Yeah. But Fox is very close. And again, all that's in 5 years, 6 years. Right. And this decade's going to be basically dominated by them. So heads up, everybody.
To say Tokido won the first EVO 2000 and then won very recently at Evo.
Yep.
That is a time span that is unbelievable.
Incredible.
You know what I mean? Unbelievable.
Incredible.
So, but I really honestly do think Tokido is the best player of all time right now.
I agree with you.
So there you go.
Okay.
All
right, that's best players of the decade. By the way, I'll put up all these on Twitter so you can see all the recap. Because we've gone over a lot of stuff tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
And I will definitely have that up there so you can see what all we did.
Okay. God, I thought we
Disagree
were
and
going
yell
fast.
with us.
I thought we were
we're
going
taking
fast,
forever.
but yeah, we're still here.
I'm definitely not going to make the logo tonight.
Okay, sorry about that.
Well,
sorry
you know,
about
it's
that.
kind of to be expected, I guess.
Okay. So now we have fighting game of the decade.
Fighting game of the decade. So, I don't know about you, but I went with...
I have to go first, don't I?
I believe you do.
Yeah.
I went with my subjective favorites.
Okay. I did not do that.
I'm super subjective.
I did not do that.
Okay.
I did kind of a impact kind of thing
Okay, sure.
and stuff like that. Except for number 3, as you know, I've been saying that I've been kind of using number 3 as my personal spot, right?
Okie doke, what you got?
So for number 3, I have Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Ultimate Marvel
for fighting game of the decade
versus Capcom 3.
Because I mean, it's just clearly
Capcom presents.
It's clearly at this point in time, I think it's just like
Marvel Comics.
I just went back and watched some matches of it too, and the game is just so good. It's so beautiful. It's so interesting. The neutral is so good. Like everything about that. Like in the end, even with how stupid X Factor comebacks can be, like the match that I was watching was Joey D versus Sactap, right? And I just had an argument on Twitter with people who were like, Marvel 3, everyone should have had air dashes because you can't possibly win without air dashes. Sactap got second place in that tournament. He was using
a Nemesis, somebody terrible,
it
Arthur.
Was Arthur,
yeah, okay.
Hager, and who was the last character he was using? Was it Nemesis? No, it wasn't Nemesis. It was Ghost Rider.
Ghost
Rider. That was his team.
Yeah, he played a bunch of garbage for sure.
And he almost won that tournament. Joey D had to make like the most ridiculous comeback just to even win and stay alive in that one. And that game just turned out so good. It did. So good. Man, that game is fun, dude. That game is a lot of fun. And I miss it. And honestly, like, just the amount that is probably still undiscovered in that game is just epic at this point in time. So
I think you're right. Mm-hmm. I think it's a good game. All right, my third place is Mortal Kombat 11.
Oh wow! Okay.
MK11. I think it's the best game that NRS has made, and I'm having a blast with it. Like I said, it's my favorite gameplay game of the year. It has everything on top of that, right? It's not just great gameplay, but also it's the full package of what a video game is. It appeals to people who like to play first or single player stuff. It appeals to people who like co-op stuff. It appeals to everybody. I mean, in terms of the groups that it goes toward. The reason it's not higher is the gore.
Right, yeah.
Again,
okay,
so
same thing.
It's the same issue.
Yeah.
The gameplay for me is, I mean, I'd probably have it at second place this decade, just based on gameplay alone, but
the gore drops it down a little bit. Yeah, I understand.
Yep.
It's kind of frustrating situation. So.
Yes, it edges out Injustice, but just slightly. I really like Injustice 2, man. Injustice 2 is one of my top 5s for sure.
My number 2 game is going to be Tekken 7.
Tekken
7, because Tekken franchise was gone.
Right.
The Tekken franchise, 3D games were not a thing anymore.
Dude, there was an Evo where we wouldn't have had it if they didn't like sneak in the arcade version.
Would Soul Calibur 6 have been made if there was no Tekken 7? 100% no. No, there's no way it would have been made. Tekken 7 brought back the 3D game genre, and it did it in full-fledged fashion, and it fixed... Like, when I first saw Tekken Tag 2, I was excited because they started doing more of the presentation stuff, because the tag combos were so cool-looking and stuff. Then Tekken 7, they just took it up another level, and the game has just been so solid, since then. And it just keeps getting better, and like I said, everything surrounding it has been great.
Yes.
Harada... Michael Murphy has been doing a great job. Murray has been doing a great job with that. Again, sorry about the names. Just the commentators, the world tour, the dojo events, and the characters they've been adding and everything. And, you know, they've been taking a lot of risks that have been paying off. I mean, they put a freaking Walking Dead character in the game, you know? And,
yeah, that's right.
And like, who needs Tekken Cross Street Fighter anymore? We have Tekken Cross Street Fighter, cross Final Fantasy 15, cross KOF, cross Walking Dead, you know, like, who needs that anymore? We've got, I'm like, they put Akuma in there and they said, you know what? And Geese, and we're going to make them jump regular. They're going to have 2D fighting jumps. They're going to have projectiles. They're going to give them super meters. It's just such a well-designed game. And, you know, and we've talked a lot about balance, you know, over the years and everything like that. I mean, Rangchu won 2 years ago, or a year ago, I should say, with the Bears, who people didn't think were very good characters and everything like that. It's just what it was able to do to help revive not just 3D games and Tekken itself, but it's huge. Yep. It's huge, and it's changing the way people are approaching making their fighting games now. So I have that as my number 2 game.
It used to be the game that many of us would file out of EVO to go eat lunch during.
Dude, I played Nothing Excess in Tetris during Tekken on the DS one time because he thought he could actually beat me. But I mean, and we chose to do that during Tekken for a reason, you know.
Seriously, so. we ditched. A lot of people ditched.
Yeah.
And now it's one of the hypest games to watch.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Shout outs to them. They have done a great job. It's a great pick.
Mm-hmm. So that's my number 2.
Okay. My number 2 is Street Fighter V Arcade Edition.
Okay, all right. Street Fighter V, specifically Arcade Edition.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, as we mentioned before, when it came to SF5 for being Game of the Year this year for both of us, the launch had a ton of problems, and I mean, it was the worst Street Fighter launch. It was the worst fighting game launch ever.
Yes.
And it had so many problems. And the gameplay had problems too. I mean, I liked it, but it wasn't something I loved. It had lag. There wasn't that much character variety. There were definitely issues in there. And they fixed the lag, and they added a bunch of new characters, and they keep adding a bunch of new wild stuff. And what I like most in fighting games, the thing that I feel like binds together the games that I like the most, is when the characters outshine the game mechanics.
Yeah.
I love that. I like the expression of an individual character in diverse ways. So that everybody plays very differently, and you can do very different things. And they have done that in Street Fighter V Arcade Edition over the last Season 4, right, in particular. And now in Season 5, when CE comes out for this next decade, it's going to be even zanier. That's the kind of stuff that I really like. So for me, I mentioned this a while ago, it displaced Super Turbo as my second favorite Street Fighter game.
Yeah.
So now my favorite Street Fighter game remains Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. Second place is Street Fighter 5. I don't know if it's going to remain second for long, to be honest. I feel like CE might get number 1 ultimately, to be frank.
I mean,
we'll see.
What's really interesting, too, and this kind of tells you about a little bit of the redemption arc. It's 2 years ago, if we said this, like, the chat would just be like, ah! But there's a lot of people in the chat are like, I agree. No, that's good. No, Street Fighter 5 has reached a really nice place. Yeah. I mean, obviously, people are going to be mad about the netcode still, which I'm kind of frustrated with.
But that's many games. I mean, there's really only a few games that have great netcode still, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I really do enjoy the game. I love the game a lot. And
dang, it replaced Third Strike for you, huh?
Dang,
Kama's Cop. Dang.
Really? Nice. So that means...
Yeah, I think that's reasonable, to be honest. Street Fighter 5. Arcade Edition. Now, what do you got for first place, buddy?
This one's kind of weird. I wasn't sure how to narrow this down exactly, but so mine's kind of a little bit of a cheat,
okay,
like that. But it's my number 1. Honestly, is the Street Fighter 4 series.
Oh, okay.
The Street Fighter 4 series. And again, while I do currently enjoy Street Fighter 5 more than I enjoyed Street Fighter 4 at the height of my Street Fighter 4 enjoyment.
Yeah.
Nobody can deny what Street Fighter 4 did. And yes, it came out in 2008, came out at home in 2009, right? But really, it was 2010 when it started, everything started.
Super Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, and Ultra Street Fighter 4 were all this decade.
Right, and as much as people hate the term the Dark Ages, For those of you who are there, it was the Dark Ages. I'm sorry. I'm just saying that, okay? That's how it was. And Street Fighter 4 made fighting games relevant again. It made it so that people cared about fighting games. Would we have any of the fighting games that we have today if it were not for Street Fighter 4? No. Like, it's just not going to happen.
I don't know, man. I mean,
like,
I'm not sure I agree with that.
Well, not to the degree I feel like that we have right now.
We certainly wouldn't have as many.
Right.
I agree with that.
We would not have as many, right? Street Fighter 4, obviously they'd still be making Guilty Gears and Tekkens and stuff like that.
Blaze Blade come out.
Street Fighter 4 came out, was popular enough, was big enough, really kind of kickstarted the world tours. Really started kickstarting all that kind of stuff. And like I said, the difference between 2000... The reason why I talk so exaggeratedly about it is because, like I said, I was there between 2008 and 2009.
Indeed.
I saw the difference of it, and I still remember how I felt after 2009.
Yeah.
Like, I was in awe of what happened in that grand finals. And Street Fighter 4 really brought back the fighting game genre, really kind of put it back into public consciousness again. And so to me, it's still the most important fighting game of the decade. Still had a great character fighter. They did the wise choice of bringing back all the characters right away. From the get-go, all of the 12 original characters were there, right? Because those were the favorites, right? The character variety, even though there was a little bit there was way too many grapplers or whatever like that.
Yeah,
but still,
archetypes were maybe... Anyway.
Yeah, but the archetypes is still very wide because it was still one of the fighting games that allowed the gamble Seth style.
That's true.
Right? The execution junkies, the zoning kind of players, the rushdown players, the space controlling players, the careful footsies kind of players. Like, I felt like the character variety in that game really helped with a lot of that.
It was good.
And so I think it's the most important fighting game of the decade.
I think that's hard to disagree with, to be honest. Like I said, my list is very subjective. It's the games that I like the most. But
exactly.
Yeah, I feel like especially your top two of Street Fighter 4 and Tekken 7, hard to disagree with either of those as most important games of the decade.
Yeah.
I think I agree with that, yeah.
Fair enough. Okay.
But that's not what I picked.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I picked Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Yeah.
Game that I briefly hated.
Yeah.
A lot. And eventually sort of got around. The reason that I hated it for a little while was that I felt like the gameplay was becoming really stale.
Well, there was the period of Zero and Virgil.
It really felt like that was just going to be how it always was. And I didn't like how people dealt with X Factor. It seemed to me like it was too gambling heavy, and it just, that wasn't how it ended up. There was that phase occurred for sure, but and I probably overreacted to it, but people got over that anyway, right? Like, then the sort of end stage of the game is so beautiful and diverse. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's so... I just went back and watched Evo Top 8 when Ryan LV won it, and he won with Chun-Li.
Yeah,
to go back in time a few years before that and be like, the winner of Evo in 2014 or 15, whatever it was, wins with Chun-Li.
Dominatingly.
Blows him up with Chun-Li!
Because he's been winning everything before Evo, too. He went in there being the favorite.
Blew him up with Chun-Li.
No repeat champions at Evo. That's
it was... It's so beautiful. There's so many different characters that are viable if you are committed to them. Mm-hmm. And, typically I'll say something like, you should just pick the top tier, but people figured that out. And people made top 8 many times with characters. Well, one with Chun-Li, but one with a lot of characters that I thought were garbage. People made top 8 with Phoenix Wright, for example.
The game was won by Hulk Hagar Sentinel.
Hulk Hagar Sentinel won it, right? I mean,
and someone was like, "Oh,
it was pretty cheap, to be honest.
This is just because KBR is special." And I was like, "Freaking Paradigm made top 8 at Evo 2 times."
Jan made top 8 with that team, except for it was Shuma instead of Sentinel.
And Angelic made Evo top 8 twice with Shuma. So Shuma's been in top 8 3 times, And yeah, it's crazy, dude. It's crazy.
The game is, first of all, even gameplay aside, I think it's Capcom's greatest audiovisual work. The looks and the sound and the stages, most of which you don't get to see in tournament, but which exist, and the music. They're all just so top-notch. Mm-hmm. All of those are so great. And then on top of that, the gameplay, incredible. So for me, I think it's the best spectator game ever.
Right.
In fighting games.
Again, my games, top 1 and 2 are because I feel like their importance. Yeah. And third, I went with my heart, and that was UMVC 3 as well. So, yeah, UMVC 3 is Just it's
quite a unique game.
It's one of those games that just came out and is one of the main arguments of just make everything really broken.
Exactly. You know what's funny is I remember having the conversations with Seth about that at the time because he was involved with balancing, and that's exactly how he phrased it. Right, just make everybody as broken as possible. Like that was the point of it, was to let people do wild stuff so that they could have fun, so they could find the cheap stuff. And he was like, look, it's a fine balance. We know it's a high wire act. We don't expect to get everything right, but hopefully this game will be zany enough that even the things we don't get right, other characters will already be zany enough that they can just overcome the wild, broken stuff too, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that was the design philosophy, and they did a great job. They really did.
Yeah, Shankar, that was Noel Brown. That was Noel again.
How do you not know that?
I know Shankar.
Come on,
unless
buddy.
he's trolling.
Maybe,
yeah. The bionic arm yell was...
Yeah, it was not me. It was not me. But that was so long ago. I think that was in 2012.
Yeah, that was a while ago. But honestly, UMVC3, man, what a game. What a game. And what a roller coaster ride of a game.
Yes,
that
for
was,
sure.
Too. So, honestly, Okay. So that's Fighting Game of the Decade.
Fighting Game of the Decade. Wow.
So, you start with Story of the Decade, right?
I start with Story of the Decade.
Yes. Story of the Decade.
Oh, boy.
What is your story?
I think I had a little error here. Give me 1 sec. I think I miswrote this down. Okay, no, it's good. All right, so my number 3 story of the decade is introspection and improvement. We're slowly, and maybe too slowly, we are slowly becoming less of a bunch of jerks.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay.
Maybe too slowly, but we're doing it, at least, in a way that in the previous decade, we definitely prized being jerks. And I can tell you that because I was there. Yeah. We definitely were dicks about a lot of things, and we were exclusive rather than being inclusive. And we were very mean to people who we thought were different. And in some cases, people were like the best players in the world, and you didn't rip on them for that reason. But you may not have ripped on Ricky Ortiz, but like plenty of other people were ripping on the other gay people, for sure.
Right, yeah,
it was all the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That happened constantly, and now we're, again, a lot of work to be done, but like we have at least, I think many of us identified it as an important thing to be less jerky to each other and to be a little more welcoming, to be a little bit more open, and to sort of try to find ways to have an inclusive situation where we can all just play video games together and prioritize that side of it rather than the side of it where you're like the angsty teens and being jerks to each other all the time. Because I really think that this is a good point, that Noir Experiences says, thank God if a bunch of us turned 30. For sure. I changed. I'm 36 now, and when the decade began, I guess I was 26 to do the math. And that was a big decade in my life, right? Like what a tremendous like period of change.
Well, I mean, this is what I keep telling everybody when they turn 30 is you lose that aura of invincibility. And so you stop kind of being jerks at that point in time. You know what I mean? You start realizing stuff you do has consequences, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this example. So when Cross Assault happened in 2011 and Eris did stuff he shouldn't have done that he's now quite penitent for, but that he did at the time. We got Kotaku'd. And I remember talking about it like that.
Yeah.
Man, we got Kotaku'd. Kotaku attacked us, right?
Right,
like,
yeah.
How dare they come from the outside and they attacked us? What jerks. How dare they do that? And I'm like defending people in my scene for no reason other than that they're in my scene. We were jerks, and they should have called us out on that stuff because it was important to call us out on things like sexism. And now I feel like I'm one of the people who like would do the calling out,
and all the 20-year-olds are going to be like, "What? We got Ultra David."
Maybe, right? I don't know, but I'm certainly at a phase of my life now where it's more important to me to protect the people who I think of as being my friends and community, and I don't define that as narrowly as I did before. I define that much more narrowly before. And I mean, I was never like a big, I was never, I don't know, negative in any number of different ways, but I feel like it's become more important to me now, and many other people too, to create this more inclusive atmosphere, and I think that's good. I hope that's a trend that continues and that we actually get there someday. We'll see.
I agree with
Got a lot of work to do, but hopefully that's what we'll get.
Okay. I don't know if I can fit this on here, but my number 3 story is actually the rise of Sonic Fox.
Dang! Wow.
And their rivalry with Goichi as a sub thing.
Interesting.
As well.
Wow.
Because the rise of Sonic Fox, I mean, like I said, it's just such an important thing that's happening to finally see what it's like to have the player that was born and raised in fighting games.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we're seeing now what the final form can be. You know what the true power can be, right? But then not only that, but you know, Sonic Fox being a gay furry, you know, kind of opening up the doors for inclusiveness in the genre, in our scene. And not only that, but being such a person to root for, that the storyline with Goichi for Dragon Ball FighterZ was so riveting. Like, there's no point in time where, you know, if they fight each other, it's not Morpheus and Neo fighting each other. You know what I mean? Oh my god, Morpheus is fighting Neo, and everyone runs over there to go watch it. Everyone goes and watches them fight each other.
I watched.
You know, you have to.
Yeah.
Like, you can't not. And so I just feel like what Sonic Fox has done for the fighting game community in so many ways, being a player, showing us what the maximum capability of fighting game players could probably be, for opening the inclusiveness and being a representative even in the esports side of world, you know, winning some of those award shows and getting some people angry about it and things like that, you know, speaking out about things, getting people to chant trans rights at winning a tournament, you know.
That's right. I don't think any other fighting game player has been mentioned in the British Parliament. I'm pretty sure that Fox is the only one.
Exactly. So just all of that stuff, and then that storyline with Goichi and Sonic Fox, which Goichi has a lot to do with as well, course. Because he called out Sonic Fox right at the beginning, which was amazing. What was it? Hi-Fi had a good little recap edited clip.
Did, yeah.
It was really cool to see that. But, you know, it's just, I just feel like Sonic Fox's rise to prominence in the fighting game community is such an important story for the decade.
Okay, cool.
So there you go.
So TROS, right?
The Rise of Skywalker?
The Rise of Sonic Fox, isn't that what you said?
Oh, okay. The Rise of Sonic Fox. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Big fan of that is James. Mm-hmm. Now, my number 2 is FGC Sports. Esports came. We're definitely esports now. Mm-hmm. For sure. Everybody calls it esports.
Yeah.
We don't even make any bones about that anymore.
Right. Mm-hmm.
We never even think about that anymore. And there's good and bad parts of it, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm glad that I think in general that we've done it mostly on our terms. So, you know, I wanted fighting games to get bigger. I wanted there to be more money and for the players to be able to do this and for there to be roles that were jobs that got paid, like tournament organizer and broadcaster and commentator and many other things too. And that does exist now. And hopefully that'll keep growing because for many people it's just a side job, but it would be certainly nice if it kept growing. And I...
Be nice.
Right, yeah. And I'm glad, like I said, that I think we've mostly done that on our terms. So it's like mostly been the case that the pro tours are run by people who were FGC, right? Mostly. It's mostly been the case that when we have worked with parties like ESL or even E-League, that a lot of the people who are most like fundamental to it are FGC. People who have just found themselves in those roles over the years and took it on. And it's mostly been the case that people designing games even over the last decade have more and more become people who grew up in the FGC. Right? More and more the case. Previously, it was not that way, right? I mean, the developers and rights holders in the 20s were, who even knows? Until Seth worked at Capcom, I didn't know anybody who worked at any of these things. Who knew anybody, right? Like,
right.
But it has more and more been the case that that's true. And I'm really happy about that we have at least done these things mostly on our terms.
We've done a good job keeping our integrity
I think so. Yeah. Right. Well, I think we've done a pretty decent job at it, right? I mean, there's certainly ways in which I think that we haven't done that great of a job. I'm a little bit worried about where some games are going in particular, but I think in general this is true, that we've mostly done it on our terms, and that's been important to us.
Yeah, I mean, I've always given, obviously people talk about like, oh, we have to be professional like sports and blah, 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 but I always give the NBA example. One of the most famous things, won countless Emmys, was Inside the NBA on TNT,
right?
Which is where, Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith and Ernie Johnson, they just memed each other all
right,
day.
Yeah.
They were wearing suits, but they just talked trash to each other. They created the going fishing meme and everything like that. It got into the popular culture. Shaq eventually joined, and it just got even crazier and stuff. That's what I've always used as kind of like the benchmark of what I want to do.
Sure.
We can be professional, but we can still be us.
I think we're doing a pretty good job at
that.
And
exactly. I mean, it's why I stopped wearing ties. Right? Because, I don't want to make it be like, oh, Logan and Yipes have to wear ties.
Yeah,
I don't want that,
So, I started wearing ties when I began commentating because I was also trying to advertise my business as a lawyer. That was honestly the only reason. And then I get why other people started wearing ties. Like, it's weird if you're sitting next to a guy wearing a tie and not. Right? I get it. I totally understand. But it was certainly never my intention to make that more than just I'm like advertising myself as a lawyer. So it's not.
And so when you wore ties, I was like, I gotta wear ties too.
I understand. I get it. But it wasn't my goal. So I'm glad that that's not there now. I don't really need to do that anymore.
Right.
So I'm happy not to do that anymore either. So, I mean, wrapped up with this esports thing is the fact that many more players have teams. Teams exist, I guess. I mean, if you think back to 2009, you had EG just starting out in terms of really sponsoring anybody in the FGC. And before that, really all you had was maybe, like, Empire Arcadia. I mean, like, honestly, like, nothing that you would even say was at all related to what an esports team is, really. So you have so many more sponsorships now. You have people making money. You have streams as a thing that exist, which didn't exist in the previous decade, that give us many more ways to make money if you're somebody who's trying to do this professionally. I think we have done a pretty good job, to be honest, of maintaining ourselves while becoming more esports. I hope that we don't give our essential aspects of ourselves up. I don't think we need to, like you said.
Can't give up our soul. We shouldn't give up
We
our
shouldn't,
soul.
and I don't think we need to.
And as long as... And you know what is one of the greatest proofs of it, too, is that even despite all this time, the arcade culture still exists of offline and face-to-face and that kind of thing. You know what I mean? We still have so much of the arcade culture embedded in the FGC, and that's a good sign. And we have to keep it that way. So... Okay, what do I got here for, because that fits. So my number 2 is kind of a weird one to written out, but it's developers gaining responsibility. Okay, because, again, this is coming from my perspective, which is if before this decade, if we could talk about balance, talking to people about netcode, patch notes, previews, betas, any of these things didn't exist.
Right.
You had just kind of mentioned it. We had no communication to any of these companies at all whatsoever.
Every once in a very blue moon, some company would be like, hey, we have a beta of X game. We're going to bring it to your arcade for 2 days. And we'll let you know 2 weeks in advance.
Yeah, I mean,
that was it.
I mean, the first time we found out anything about Alpha 2 is when it showed up at UCLA.
Right, okay, yeah.
Right? You know, I mean, like, and then I had to post on AGSF2, oh my god, we're trying these custom combos, I don't understand this, and this looks really good. Next day, this looks really bad. Next day, this looks really good. You know, but, like, literally, that was how we got information. Now we're getting trailers, and here's this information and all this stuff. People talk about these fighting games like in the last 5 years, like they're unbalanced.
I know, right? Yeah.
Like I just can't help but cackle about
it's
that.
Absurd,
you know,
right?
I mean,
they not know?
We went from Maury cracking up watching Breaker Dave die, you know,
that's true,
to a broken character. Now all of a sudden he's like, I get it. I must make my game balanced.
Right.
Like, developers actually care about balancing their games now. You know what I mean? Like, that's actually a thing.
It is.
We have, we're at a phase right now where it's just not like, here, release the next version, here, release the next version. We don't care how balanced it is, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Or maybe let's intentionally unbalance it.
Yeah, here's the joke character,
Well, or maybe
here's the super buff character.
Yeah, maybe you like a sphere that has bumps on it or whatever nonsense Odo said when the arcade edition came out for SF4.
Right, exactly. But like I said, and then they also have this responsibility now of world tours as well.
Right.
The world tour is expensive, and for them, it's such an important part of their advertising. It's such an important part of promoting their game as these world tours, and so they have a responsibility to, and again, I don't want them to listen to the community in terms of like game balance and stuff like that, because that when Super Street Fighter 4 came out, everyone's like, you only gave Guile these 2 tiny buffs? That's not enough. Guile's gonna suck. And then he was like one of the best characters in the game. Like, people, honestly, the average person doesn't understand anything about balance in fighting games. I'm just gonna say it right now.
Okay.
But like, to them, because they know so many people have that much money on the line, you got to make sure the characters are good. You can't, you know what I mean? It's like there's just so much more responsibility on the developer side with the fighting games to make this product better than it ever was before. Because before, you just released Mace the Dark Age and you're like, whatever. Wow. Here's Mace the Dark Age.
Yeah. It was a rough one.
Yeah. Oh, man.
All right.
So there you go.
That's cool. That makes sense.
What's your number one story of the year?
My number one story of the year, of the decade.
Of the decade.
Is that I've learned that we'll be here forever. We'll
Okay.
be here forever. Forever.
Wow.
Forever. So, almost everybody who I knew in the 2000s is still at least like tangentially related in the FGC. They may not play actively, but they still watch and come to tournaments and hang out.
Right.
Most of the people who I've met in the 2010s, even early 2010s, are still around. So, I mean, not everybody for sure, but most people are still around. And this has been a 10-year period. For you, it's, approaching 3 decades. For me, it's 2. It's a long time, and I always suspected that I would just be doing this forever, but I feel like the fact that I still am 10 years later is an indication that I'll be doing it for the next 10 years. Because why would I stop after 36? Like, I did it from 18 to 20 to 36. Like, I'll stop now? No. And that's the case for everybody else. And on top of that, in the meantime, as we've been talking about, right? People are having families and doing all the things that you do that are things that you, in the past, we were told, once you have a family, you're not going to keep playing games. Once you're married, once you have a job, whatever. And we all kept doing it anyway.
Right.
And at this point, I don't think anything stops us. I think we just keep on doing it for literally the rest of our lives. I think that's great, by the way. I'm stoked for it.
Right. You've talked about this. Hado just mentioned it in the chat, but FGC Old Folks Home is one of the things I'm looking most forward to in my life.
It will be so cool to just have an arcade. You go down your elevator, you got a little walker, and you walk yourself over to where the stand-up cabs are.
Yeah, and if I can get all of the FGC guys, and all of us are in that house and we're old, you would not need to worry about us. We would have so much to do for the rest of our lives at that point.
And you're not worried about some of the things that you're worried about with old folks' homes. You're worried in some cases there that they don't get enough like stimulation. They're not like mentally like stimulated enough, and that can be harmful if you're suffering from things like Alzheimer's and like. I mean, if we're all playing games constantly, we're like this.
Dude, right?
We're keeping our brains sharp for sure.
One of the craziest stories that I remember seeing, and it's gonna make me tear up again, but there was an old guy who had Alzheimer's disease, just wouldn't talk or anything like that. And they started playing them this jazz music that he used to listen to when he was younger, and all of a sudden he just started talking, and he just started saying stuff about the music and all this stuff. It just
awesome.
It just triggered something in his brain, And if we're doing that playing fighting games, we're never gonna.
We will be doing that. I feel now very confident that we'll be doing that. But in addition to that, what I mean by this is not just that we, like the individual human beings of you and me, will be here forever, but that the FGC will be, because we've like passed this on in a very substantial way to the next generation already. We're already doing that. There's a next generation of tournament organizers who started in the 2010s, right? I mean, think about all the tournament organizers that started in the last 10 years. Almost all of the big ones. players, people involved in content, people who are hanging out, like all those things are now into the next generation, and in some cases like the third generation or fourth, depending on how you want to think about it.
Yeah.
And what's cool is that in so many of those cases, those people have picked up the culture of the FGC, and like you said, the arcade culture still survives, and that's happened through cultural transmission between us and the next generations, right? That doesn't really exist in a physical way anymore, but we still feel that way. So when new people come into the scene, they get taught the things that we are teaching them, and we're teaching them the important things that we'd like to maintain. So I think that this decade proves that the FGC will be around forever, that the players ourselves that will be playing fighting games forever. I'm very happy about feeling more confident in this. I suspected it for sure, but I feel after 10 years of this, I feel very confident that we'll be doing it until the heat death of the universe, or until the heat death of the world.
Yeah, at some point in time, I decided that this was going to be my course of life.
For sure.
And, you know, that's why when Tokido said fighting games are something so great, made me cry.
Yeah.
Because Tokido could have cured cancer, probably. You know?
It's very smart.
You know what I mean? Like, that guy, he's another one of those Sonic Fox guys that Majin Obama has said, like, I'm glad he doesn't want my girlfriend or my job or whatever, you know, because then they would just destroy it. They would take whatever they need. Tokido's another one of those people. I think he could have did whatever he want. And the fact that he has found fulfillment and his calling in this scene really affected me, because it spoke to me as well. It's something that I had been doing and, you know, hope that I could bring to people. It was always something that was a goal of mine, was to make it something for other people to enjoy. And so that's what it is. So,
that is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe curing cancer is a little bit more important. I
of course. Yeah.
Point taken.
But my number one is just the rapid growth of
the growth.
You see the streams, the world tours, the fact that the developers have gotten, that we have heroes, that we have these ranking boards. I mean, we tried creating Apex a long time ago on SRK. That was a disaster, right? But now we have legit, I mean, we don't have to wonder anymore. Pakistan doesn't have to say we have the best players. Right. No, they just go and play and they beat us. You know what I mean? Like, I have always said that in 2010, if you asked me if we would be playing in the Mandalay Bay Arena, streamed to over 100,000 people in the world, and that we would know who the best player is between all the different countries in the world, which was not a thing back then.
Yeah.
People are flying everywhere to play fighting. Like, if you told me that this is where we would have been at the end of the decade, at the start of this decade, in 2010, if you told me at the end of 2019, this is where we are, that the person who just won Capcom Cup, IDOM, is just going to buy $250,000 worth of socks, like, I would have laughed at you.
Rightly so.
Like, in 2010, I was sure I would be dead by the from old age by the time we got to this point. That's how slow and steady I was willing to let it go.
Yeah.
You know, that's how slow and steady I really believed it was going to go. But the fact that we are here where we are now, and doing it, like you said, FGC sports style, maintaining a lot of our integrity and everything like that, has just been mind-blowing for me. It's just, I mean, like right now, why am I doing this full-time? You know, it's because this is where my passion lies. This is what I believe in. It's not the smart thing for me to do at all. But, you know, it's just where my passion is. And I have to see this thing through. I have to put everything I can into this. So I really, really love seeing how far this has grown. I didn't think I could help make Justin Wong a household name and Daigo a household name in the world, because I thought by the time we got there, they would have already stopped playing. Mm-hmm. But Daigo Umehara and Justin Wong are known throughout the world. You can send Ni to Pakistan and then give him a hero's welcome at the airport. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. This player playing from Korea goes to Pakistan and he has fans. Like, that's nuts to me, and it's so great.
It's awesome.
It's so great, and I'm about to tear up, so I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop. So
I mean, it's very well deserved.
Yeah.
This is the most important fighting game decade, don't you think?
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
This is definitely the most
Absolutely.
important fighting game decade. This is the decade that most of the important stuff has occurred in.
Okay, let's do the
Resolutions.
Resolutions, just rapid fire. Just do all 3 of your resolutions, and then I'll do all 3 of my resolutions, and we can just do it that
Sure,
way.
it's not as big a deal after all. So you just want me to do my top 3 then?
Let me do mine because I'm supposed to go first this time.
Okie doke.
Right? So, one of the nice things about picking up Lucia was that I've been playing Cammy for so long, and you get stuck in that rut where you're scared to pick up a new character, right? Let me actually do this solution for 2020 FGC resolution for 2020, right?
Okay.
So one of the things that is always been tough for me is like, I put all this time into this character, I'm scared to go to a new character. Playing Lucia, one of the greatest things about that was that it just kind of helped me break out of that.
Okay.
And so this year, I haven't learned to do a lot of sidestepping. I haven't learned it. But King's sidestep is not one of the best sidesteps. So it's probably one of the reasons why.
Okay.
And, King doesn't have certain kind of mix-ups and things like that. And I'm going to learn a new character in Tekken 7. I'm going to switch characters. Not because King's bad. Not because I don't think he's fun. He's super fun and stuff. But I just want to learn a new character to gain different strengths.
That makes sense.
To gain different powers and stuff like that. I mean, Kazumi is the first on the list because she's super easy and straightforward. But Fang is also there because I've always just wanted to play him. So I'm going to be less scared to try new characters in Tekken 7. So I'm going to actually try new characters. So that's my first one.
Okay.
The next one that I have, I did this for Red Bull Kumite, and it was fantastic.
Okay.
I loved it so much. I did a beginner restream.
Right.
If I'm not going to the event, I'm going to contact everybody. I'm going to be like, let me do a beginner restream. It was so great. It was so much fun.
That's cool.
It was really good. People I told them no stupid questions.
Right.
No stupid questions. Ask me whatever you need to ask, and I would explain things. And
That's awesome.
When crazy things happen, as commentators, we've learned to stop talking when something crazy happens, and we interrupt ourselves, and we just forget that thought. I don't have to do that on that. If you want the crazy moment commentary, that commentary is existing currently on the actual channel. Right? So now I can just be like, okay, here's the situation. Oh, that was crazy. Here's the situation, blah, 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 stuff like that. And so this was something I want to do more of.
That's cool.
I am determined now to do as many beginner restreams as I can for the year. And then also last year I said I was going to do more content and all this content. I kept doing all this stuff and saying all these things. And I was really lazy this year. Even the FGC Locals of the World, I haven't really been able to do stuff properly. But mark my words, First Attack is coming back this year.
Ooh,
I did
cool.
not do any First Attacks this year. And I promised I was going to because all the old ones are all weirdly proportioned on our stream.
That's right.
And all this stuff. And my hit confirming one is on Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Oh, boy.
I mean, I need to update them. I need to do the First Attack streams.
For people who are
again.
relatively new, what's First Attack?
First Attack was all my beginner stuff. Was all the streams like how do you hit confirm? What's an option select? I would explain stuff like attack vectors, and I would try to explain the decision making. I had all these episodes that were really good content, but it's all outdated and terrible to watch on. And if you put on the wrong resolution, it looks like the video doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
It's terrible. So
Yeah.
I got to do this right this time. I'm gonna try to bring back the First Attacks this year. People have told me their favorite episode of mine has been my attack vectors, which is a weird concept that people don't talk about, right?
Yeah, we don't talk about it.
And so, that's something I want to bring up again, and I want to teach that again in the modern fighting games and stuff like that. So that's my number one resolution is I want to bring back First Attack. So
Okay.
There you go.
Excellent.
All right, what's your number 3 resolution, David?
Oh wait, hold on. Let me write yours down. What were
The
they?
whiteboard will
Sorry.
return.
Learn
new Tekken character. More beginner restreams.
More beginner restreams.
And First Attack is coming back.
First attack is...
I hate you, Curly W.
God.
He says there needs to be more tutorial videos about trip guard anti-air. I hate you.
The history of the term maybe would be cool.
Yeah.
All right.
You'll have to wait till my first attack episode to explain attack vectors, Kay.
Dang.
Anyways. And more
Sell it.
Unchenzords. I'll try to do more Unchenzords as well. So, okay.
Sounds good.
All right. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is my goal of getting either top 4 at a local or making it out of pools at a major.
Ooh.
That's right. I'm setting myself a results-oriented goal.
Wow.
Last year, I set myself the goal of just playing in locals again and feeling like I wasn't out of it. Feeling like I could actually control myself enough to do that. And I felt like I did that. So I was super stoked about, as I mentioned earlier.
I don't think this is going to take long.
I've already made top 8. So
yeah,
why
I
not?
know. At a local,
At a local.
especially. I don't think...
Yeah, maybe not. But I don't want to go wild on myself. I'm not going to set myself to make top 8 at a major or anything. So and it's not necessarily my goal, to be honest. Like, my goal is to just, like, be competitive and have fun. I'm not trying to win Evo.
Right.
So within my goals, I feel like this is what I want. And I think it's doable. I do.
To be fair,
I do think it's doable.
this past year, I made it out of pools in one of the toughest Super Turbo tournaments.
Okay.
And then I also made top 8 at a tough Super Turbo
I mean, you're legit at Super Turbo, James. Nobody would say otherwise.
Cammy, baby, let's go. So anyways, go ahead.
So that's my first one, my number 3.
I like it.
Setting myself a results-oriented goal for the first time in a long time.
Dang. All right, let's go, Ultra David.
In literally 8 years.
I still think you should have entered the LCQ with Honda. I really think you should have.
That boy Honda's pumping out damage, man, this season. Oh my god.
I think the skill 2 is amazing, but anyways. Yeah.
All right. My number 2 is to sell the split box.
Okay.
So it's a business goal of being able to do that. I've gotten a lot of responses from people who would be interested in buying it, and I don't know what the pricing of that is or how I'm going to go about doing it, but I'm researching that, and I'd love to hear more from people who are interested in buying it, and I think that'd be really cool.
Let's do it.
I think that'd be great.
I think that is cool.
So that's my goal.
Let's do it. Yeah.
All right, my number 1 is to start giving commentary lessons.
Okay.
This is something I've been thinking about for the last year.
Right.
Year plus, maybe.
I know.
And I have, over the past couple of months, been doing a lot of work to try to, like, nail down my theory of commentating in the first place, and how to do that, and, like, tips for doing it, and all the different little phases of it, and the goals of it, and all the little, like, tech that I've learned. So, like, I'm not coming at it from a Tasty Steve position where he just, like, is an entertainer.
Right, yeah.
So, like, you and I and everybody else, we've all, like, learned stuff.
And, I want to help with that because I did that
Definitely.
for EXO Academy.
Yes,
right?
for sure.
So I'd already been doing a lot of that.
For sure. We're definitely both planning to do it.
And the best thing about it is we come from very different mindsets as well, too,
for sure.
right? There's a very technical, there's a very emotional aspect.
It's a good way to put it.
You know what I mean? That's how it always is. I mean, I think that's why the duo works so well.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
we always come from that different aspect.
Yeah,
so.
like I'm literally writing down 10 pages of bullet points.
Yeah,
they're just like very analytical. I'm like writing a philosophy treatise about it.
Right. And I'm like, this is how I feel about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously they both have worked out. The two styles. So I think that's really cool. It's important to. The goal of, like, us doing UltraChen the whole time has been to try to, like, improve the community, right? The whole purpose of the whole time. Whether that's in making better players or talking about the news in a way that we hope is, like, illuminating to people, or, giving a chance to talk about hot topics, debate things. And I think commentary is something that is really important to help foster, right? So there's certainly been a great development in commentating, and there's a lot of great commentators right now, but there's still a lot of people who I think would like to be in those roles,
right?
Who would love to know more about it, and I think that's one way to do it, is to just have lessons. People have fighting game lessons, and they have voice coach lessons, and why not video game commentary lessons? I think I think it makes sense.
Yep.
So, like with the Splitbox one, if it's something that you're curious about, send us an email at ultrachentv@gmail.com or me at david@ultradavid.com. You can check out our website, which we've just, like, improved again. It exists again at ultrachentv.com.
Only Bernie Beats Akuma says he literally got into the bigger FGC through UltraChenTV.
Damn. Okay.
High five.
High five indeed.
There you go. Okay.
High five indeed. Yeah, I really like doing streams where I analyze my own commentary.
Well,
that's useful for me, but I think it'd be useful for other people too.
Meta Skipper asked, would it be geared towards specifically commentating fighting games or commentating in general?
I think it's in general,
yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, certainly our expertise in games is with commentating. It was with fighting games, but I feel like all of the concepts apply to any game.
Yeah,
Why not?
exactly. Like I said, most of my advice has always been philosophical, has been very about my mindset on why I do things, how I approach things, and how to, showcase yourself in a lot of ways. So, that applies to whatever the hell you need. So, so yeah, there you go.
There it is. Those are my 3 goals.
Okay.
Top 4 to local, or get out of pools at a major, sell the split box, and do esports commentary lessons.
Yeah, a sub goal of mine too is, obviously you've already seen, I've already been trying to do stuff to make the stream more professional and stuff like that. I'm going to keep working at it. There was one thing I wanted to do last year that never got around to, that I'm going to try to take more time. I don't know if Callisto's in the chat right now. He's probably asleep. But Ryan, if you are in the chat, we will definitely need to talk very soon. So I definitely need some help with that.
Okay.
So. But there you go. So lots of cool things here. And got anything else you want to add before we go?
Just letting people know I'm not going to make the local tonight. I mean, it started at 9 o'clock and it's 9:18.
Yeah. You said I was going to try to get out of here by 8:15.
I did say that before the show started.
It's not going to happen. So.
Yeah, so not tonight, but that is the Worlds Collide local that happens in the Valley here in LA every 2 weeks. So I'll be there in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Plenty of chances to try to hit the old results goal this year.
Yes, none of us get a third cat on our...
No, I think we're both happy on that front. Yeah.
I could get more cats if I really wanted to, but I think 2 is more than enough that I can handle right now, so...
I gotta be honest, I thought about applying for a Street Fighter League.
Did you really?
That would be so funny.
Dude, you should have.
No, I'm not gonna do it. Maybe in a year. Maybe in a while, but not yet, for sure. All right, that's it. So that's our year in review, 2019, and I guess decade in review as well this time.
Yeah.
Next week, we're going to start back on regular old Tuesday show episodes where we do all the sorts of stuff we haven't been doing, like 5-5 matchup topic choices, like news.
Yes.
We're going to get back to having people on our Patreon and Twitch subscriber lists vote on which topics they'd like us to talk about, so check those out if you're curious.
We're going to try to do more lobbies.
Yes, we'll be doing more lobbies
with us and stuff like that. So there you go.
Correct.
So hang out on our Patreon and all that other stuff like that. Also, if you're out there and you want to advertise on UltraChenTV for anything, hit us up, UltraChenTV@gmail.com.
Correct.
So there you go.
Alrighty. What do you got? Bird? Good. Bird.
Birding them right now. Let me know in the chat if you can hear the bird. If you guys can hear the bird, just want to make sure. Yep.
Hope everybody had a good holidays.
Yeah,
good New
absolutely.
Year. Hope things are good with all of you.
Anything good for Christmas? All right, I guess we're ending the show on that then. Okay.